No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to the Triple P, the perfect parlay pursuit, back in your life again on a Monday. Coming off an amazing weekend, spectacular card, big winning night for myself, for Alex. If you tailored my picks in the Patreon, you were yet again privy to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of winnings. Let's get into it, guys. Dan, Alex, what's going on, boys? I had a fantastic day. The fight started at 11:30, and I made my rent by 6 p.m. that night. So what do we do from here? Where do we go from here? I'm riding a severe high. I have house money now. I am reloaded. I am going into Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. Excited to say the least. I already have some bets placed. I'm gonna let everybody in on them. But first, let's recap what was an amazing, amazing card. I'll tell you guys exactly how I won, what I won in a minute. Let's check in with the boys first. How you guys doing?
I'm good. Started last card off. Interesting choice of panning there, but
it's like taking a penalty shot in soccer. I got to guess which one's going to talk first, and that's a penalty shot, left or right. So
I'm doing good. I came out in the green for the first time in a couple weeks, so I feel pretty good. It wasn't the sexiest. It wasn't the most money possible. I wasn't Lukey CK over here making all the bucks in the world, but I came out on top, and that's all that matters. I live to fight another week. I have more guns in my bullet. Dan, how did you do?
Looks like we got 3 different temperatures of the porridge going on here. I probably had the worst week of all. Don't even know if I got any picks right. Certainly didn't win any money. Definitely lost some money. So, you got the 3 levels of Dante's Inferno here. And I'm being the hottest, the worst one you could possibly be. And so hopefully that means that we go up from here. Sean Strickland usually does right by me. So let's see if you could get it done for the boy once again.
Dan, little do you know, in the gambling world, you need to go down in Dante's Inferno. You need to get hot. Right now, you're as cold as possible. You're up top. I'm right in the middle in purgatory, and Lukey's in hell, as you can see from his Burning Embers shirt.
There we go.
Get out of hell, you got to go through the center of hell. So I'm going. Right. I went through the center. I mean, let's really break this down, because on this podcast, it's been over 3 years now of betting on every single UFC card, every single weekend, attempting to hit the perfect parlay, betting every single fight in a parlay form. I've hit the perfect parlay. We've had a lot of success in the last.
Dan has too.
That's right.
We've had a lot. I'm just talking about me right now. We've had a lot of success over the last 3 years, going from 0 to 100, never betting on MMA to betting on MMA full time, every single card, every single fight, weekend after weekend. And I had to look at the Man in the Mirror. Actually, I was in the car, and Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson came on, and my girlfriend looks at me and she goes, "This is about you. You're the Man in the Mirror." And I said, "I know. I was already thinking that." Which is like, the song came on for a reason. You need to, and I was like, I know. So I took a hard look at myself in the mirror, and I made some changes. As if you're following the show, I used Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Nicotine. I quit nicotine through Alan Carr's method, and it's been amazing. It was easy and fun to quit. This addictive substance that was pushed on me by these nerds that say it's healthy. Guys, I don't know about that, man.
Luke, I just quit nicotine, and you're making me really aggy right now. I'm very aggy. So
I might buy a pack.
Cool it.
Take a little walk. Go take some deep breaths while I do my spiel, Alex. But I also have not drank since Father's Day. I have not had any alcohol since Father's Day. I was not drinking during the fight. I was not abusing nicotine during the fight. And, all these nerd scientists say it's so healthy for you, but I don't know what's healthy about having a voice in the back of your head that says, go get more nicotine at all times. I don't understand, maybe it boosts testosterone, maybe it fucking staves off Alzheimer's, but having a little monkey on your back 24 hours a day is certainly not healthy. So, I kicked it. I'm Sigma grind set activated, Christ consciousness coming through. I think by the 4th of July, by the actual 4th of July, I will be completely emancipated. I will be free. I will be sovereign in my own mind, and I will be ready to make the best picks of my life. So I think this is going to be a hot summer. It's going to be a really fucking hot summer. Feed the hot hand. I'm in hell. The embers are burning. Let's get into it. Let's talk about exactly how I won. and then we'll see what's going on next weekend. But if you're here looking for Sean Strickland versus Abbas Magomedov picks, guys, look no further because we already did them. They are top to bottom, main card and prelims, waiting for you here in the YouTube channel. That video almost has 1,000 views by now. This early pick stuff is really working out for us. Since the break week, we came in with the early picks, and we've stayed early, giving you guys early picks week after week, full card, main card, and prelims every single week. And it's really paying dividends for the channel, helping us grow. So share the videos, like the videos, comment as always.
What do we do when we have an off week? Do we cover 2 weeks ahead, or do we continue doing? Like I'm
full steam ahead. Keep it going.
I'm still lost on this new concept.
You're a little lost, but you're kind of always lost. So it's okay. That's not our litmus test for if this is working or not, you being lost or not. You'd be lost, with a flashlight, you'd be lost. So
you're not the brains of this operation, Alex. So we're just going to keep plowing straight ahead, whether you know or not.
You're the looks of the operation. You do everything in your power to show up late on that front as well, and, grow a beard and cover that pretty face of yours. So
no, I got comments last week that said never shave your face again.
Someone called correct. You a pretty piggy or something.
But again, the litmus test,
I am a bit of a pretty piggy.
Should you do something also shouldn't be the YouTube comments. I should also make that abundantly clear. So listen, if you want to see the picks for Strickland versus Magomedov, they're already there for you, is what I was trying to say. To answer your question, Alex, when the next break comes, we're going to be so ahead.
We're drafting fighters again.
Go fully back around up our ass and out our mouths again. It's going to be like a fisherman's knot.
We're doing another fantasy fighters league.
Yes,
that's
why you let us know the results of the first one, and then we'll get.
I won. I don't
know about that. All right, guys. So listen, as I said, the picks for Strickland versus Magomedov are already there. We're gonna break down the card that is coming up, not this Saturday, but next, which is a pay-per-view card, obviously, on the same night that. Should I say it? We're getting personal.
Say it. Let him know.
Dan is getting married on the same night as one of the best cards of the year. All three of us are going to essentially be out of commission that night, not on the Discord. We're all going to be at the wedding, having a lot of fun. But don't expect too much from us in terms of, chatter during the fights or attentiveness to our open bet sheets, because we're going to be partying. We're going to be solely focused on the wedding. Not every day you get married. But it is back-to-back weekends that two of my friends are getting married, that weddings I have to be in, and we'll have to miss UFC fights. So July is going to be a month where I'm not going to be able to focus too much on watching, but I'm going to focus a lot on setting and forgetting, and then just showing up Sunday morning like, looks good. Anyway, let's take a look at how everything went before we get into Yair Rodriguez versus Alexander Volkanovski, before we get into all that next weekend has, or I'm sorry, all that.
Dan, is that a Shannon Briggs shirt?
It is. Shannon the Cannon.
That's awesome.
Activated or motivated, whatever the hell it says.
UFC 290. We got Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. We got Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja. Bo Nickal is fighting. Robert Whittaker is fighting. Jalen Turner is fighting. I'm hating Dan and his love more and more as I go down this card at all that I will miss. It gets better and better. Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. Sean Brady versus Jack Della Maddalena. This is an amazing fucking card, guys.
Something tells me that a couple months post this event, I'll be watching the video of the wedding, maybe during the vows. I'll be, wow, this is a really awesome moment in my life. And in the background, I'm going to hear, damn it, if he didn't go 5 more seconds, I would have hit the over. Son of a gun. I knew he sucked. He sucks. I'm never betting on him. It's going to ruin my wedding video.
The worst part is I have to stand up there, so I can't even be in the
while
you're getting married on my phone. I can't even have a fucking wire in, dude. I would have been that guy that some dumbass girl takes a video of and puts on her social media that goes viral. Like,
Luke, put an AirPod in.
One AirPod.
Luke, put an AirPod in like you're a Secret Service member. I'll be wiring you all the information you need. All right,
you're getting permission from the group.
I'll just look to you in the crowd and see how your night's going, and I'll be able to tell. I'll be like, I just see Alex. But no. We're in and out. We're in and out of the ceremony before the early prelims are done. We're at reception while the prelims are going on. By the time the main card starts, we've already done We Are Family. We've already done the Cha Cha slide. We've already done the electric slide. That's all. I'm talking by 10 p.m. We've already done all the big 3. So what's left after that is really the question. What's left?
The after party. We'll be at the after party.
You gotta lift Dan up in the chair.
No chair lifted. None of that. No electric slide either, or any of that. Not mumbo jumbo. But it'll be a fun night. Anyone in the area, open invite. You heard it here, folks. Lieutenant Dan giving you the permission for the wedding crash. Go right ahead.
If you can find it, you can.
If you can find it, you can break in. Go ahead.
Listen, my cousin has a wedding coming up. They sent out the save the dates or whatever the RSVP, like pick your thing, and it was it said, "I'll dance if you play," and I was like, "This is just opening up Pandora's box." No, I thought it was cool because it's like, oh, let's get everybody to throw a song in, and that way everybody has a song that comes on at one point in the night that they really like. But you're
Dead Puppies. Dead Puppies is the first song I'm playing.
You're asking Alex, you're asking me. I mean, the choices I'm going to send back are going to be hilarious songs.
Irene Clara. I'm gonna live forever. Fame. That's what it's called. Fame. That's the only song you need at a wedding ever.
Well, I think that's a good one for a wedding. It was everything in me not to just put on like something very inappropriate.
Yeah.
You can use your imagination. So let's move on.
I can't wait till Dan sees my moves. When I start doing the star, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
When I go on the heels, when I cut back on the heels and do the star, Dan's
enough about the star. We're gonna move on to the true star, guys. If you were I want to give everybody a little preview as to the Patreon. So if you go to the Patreon, we do a post every week that has all of our picks listed out nice and neatly for you. But then we have links to Google Sheets. This is my open bet sheet. All of these bets, except the ones that say live at the top, are placed prior to the card starting. The ones that say live, I placed during the time that the card was going on and updated the viewing audience. So we won here. We won with Ricci, Brown, Magny, and Allen. $15 bet, paid $91 back. Over here, you can see about how much I bet throughout the night. So $255 between the Austin Lane by decision bet pushing and getting the $50 back there, and the 91. We already made back most of our 255 by the time we're going into.
And Luke, what's that in units for you? 255.69. How much are you down?
I do not go by units. Please shut up.
A 17th of a unit.
Next, after this, obviously I have this parlay going. Now, this was the big one, right? The 8-fight parlay that I placed live after I forget what motivated me to do this, but I placed it live. I did 21.55 for 3.6K, but then you see I 2x'd it. So I essentially doubled down. I actually bet $36 on top of the 21 for a total of $57 on this parlay, right?
So not quite 2xing it.
Yeah, a little bit more. But stop with your commentary. You're really annoying me. So basically, Ricci, Rebecca, Brown, Allen, Onama, Lane, Barber, Topuria. So after the push with Austin Lane, this 8-fight parlay between the two that I placed would have netted 3.6 and about 6.4. So it was about $10,000 that this one would have paid out. But when Lane pushed, he was a big underdog, or he was a slight underdog, obviously. So that dropped it down to $4,000. It knocked me from about 10K to about 4K max, but it was between two parlays. So going into the Barber fight, obviously we triple B certified Hebas. As the week went on, I started to lean more towards Barber. It's a lady fight. It's the second to last fight of my parlay. I have two active parlays. One was going to pay 1.4K. One was going to pay, I forget what it was, like 2.7, something like that. So essentially, what I did was I cashed out the one that was going to pay 1.4 to get like 250 on top of the 91. It essentially allowed me to have already had all my money back going into the main event. So I had already broken even, and then I stood to win about 2.5K on Topuria if he won. They were all for me a $1,500 hedge out at that point. So what I like best about this night, guys, was that we really set ourselves up for victory no matter what. Once Onama won, then we knew we were good either way, because if Hebas won, this $50 for 673 was going to pay. But if Barber won, we were in the money for a lot more. Once Barber won, I was able to take the hedge out money from the Barber parlay that was going to pay 1.4K. I took the $250 there. I threw that on Josh Emmett, and that essentially allowed us to have $1,000 or more of winnings going into the main event, no matter what the outcome. Topuria won. I sent $2,700 home to my bank account on a little less than $300 in total bets. Don't count the hedge outs and the other plays I had to make, but all in all, about a 2.5K net. And the thing I like best, as I was saying, is I set us up for a lot of hedge out opportunities going as we went up the parlays and going into the main event. So
yeah, I feel like the Onama pick was definitely key there. That's one where I feel like everyone, including myself, was going with Santos. That is a zig when everyone else is zagging type situation there. Onama.
Why, man? You know why? It's because Onama everybody was really high on him. He was a gigantic favorite. He loses, and now he's an underdog. That's exactly the time you want to grab somebody, especially when you believe in their skill. And especially when they get away from a toxic environment. And I'm not saying, I was the biggest James Krause fan leading up to his demise, but in the wake of all that, you can identify that may or may not, that may have been an environment where not all of the focus was paid to him necessarily. There were divided focuses, to say the least. So what I'm trying to say is I believed in Onama all along, but obviously he's an underdog going into that fight. I knew what really got me was the weigh-ins. They faced off at the weigh-ins. His opponent took a back step. His opponent took a back step. Yeah. They got into each other's face at the weigh-ins. Onama looked unbreakable. His opponent kind of backed up a second. I said, that's the tell. That's the tell right there. We're done here. And I pushed everything to Onama, every parlay. So, yeah, you got to catch those underdogs. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the underdogs I caught. It really was only Onama and Barber. And those were the two that I was like, these are two people. Barber, I knew should have been more respected against Ribas because she just gives a fuck and tries to win at all costs at all times.
Right.
Ribas is just so, we love Amanda Ribas, but she's not an intelligent fighter in there. You know what I mean? She just fights silly, sloppily, very sloppy.
Yeah, she was able to get away with that earlier on in her career, I feel like, because she is very athletic. I feel like she does care, right? She throws a lot of volume, all that kind of stuff. But as you're saying, a little bit sloppy Joe up on the feet and not always the best, not always putting herself in the best position, I should say. So going up against Barber, I should have, in hindsight, obviously easier said than done. But, Barber is someone who can probably match her in athleticism, as we saw. And obviously, power's there in that right hand. So something that I should have sniped out, but good on you, bud.
Dude, so basically a 4-fight parlay hit, Ricci, Brown, Magny, Allen, 15 to win 91. That's a 6X. We had an 8-fight parlay that got made into a 7-fight parlay. But the bitch of it all is that Lane was going to win that fight, guys. Tafa is morbidly obese with literally 2 weapons. He does not throw kicks. He does not do grappling. He has a left hand and a right hand. He's a boxer. He's morbidly obese. And you have an absolute stud apex predator athlete. From the moment I saw Lane from the weigh-ins, I was like, Austin. I picked Austin Lane in every breakdown we did at this card. But then I saw the weigh-ins, and I'm like, this is a gigantic man with height, reach, and athleticism, weighing in 40 pounds less or 20 pounds less than his more experienced opponent, who can't even make the weight class without cutting a little bit. He's 266, past at the limit. And no disrespect to keep wanting to say Mark Hunt, to Junior Tafa. No disrespect to Tafa, but Justin Tafa, but he's morbidly obese. And when Lane body kicked him, I was like, it's over. Like 10 seconds into the fight, he blasts him with a body kick. I'm like, keep kicking that big belly, keep that distance, and we're going to be easy peasy breezy on to victory. He pokes him in the eye, gets a no contest. Fine.
Hey, but without that, only one of us would win, and now both of us won. So let's just thank our lucky stars.
If I won $11,000, which is what I would have won if Austin Lane had won, I probably still would have hedged out at least one of them. So I probably would have won like $8,000, but I would have given you some money. You know what I mean? So yeah, the 7-fight parlay hit, the 4-fight parlay hit, but the best one, guys, the best value one I think I gave y'all was Onama Barber Topuria, $100 to win $1,000, 3-fight parlay. That was in the Patreon open bet sheets. So this is the second time in a row, I won big with Kai Kara France and Amir Albazi. We hit a massive parlay. Damon Blackshear, Elise Reed. So that was 2 cards ago. We won over $1,400. And now UFC Jacksonville, if you just bet my bets and forgot them, that's like $4K in winnings. If you hedged like me, you won over $2K. If Austin Lane would have won, we all would have won over $10K. So, this is all right. This is all there for you in the Patreon open bet sheets. I just showed it to you. Get in there. Odds subject to change. Entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Don't ever gamble. But I won a lot of money last weekend, and I made my picks available to everybody. I gave them on the show, but then I told you exactly the bets I was placing. All you had to do is mimic it, and you would have won alongside me. Can't do much else, everybody. We gotta move on. But I will say,
this was the weekend of brass balls for me. I was down 250 units going into the fight after the Zalgas Zumagulus, and I had lost 4 fights in a row. And then I just took my most confident from there. I knew I had to have Tabitha Ricci on there. Absolute animal, absolute specimen. Tabitha Ricci is probably the greatest female fighter of all time. The only loss that she's ever had was on very, very short notice, her first ever fight in the UFC. Tabitha Ricci is going to put this whole place on notice. And, you know, I was in the Discord saying, I don't necessarily know how to score this fight. I don't understand. I don't understand how the scoring's going. We had a lot of really odd scoring throughout the night. Luke, what did you think about the split decisions before the Tabitha Ricci fight?
So I thought Jamal Emmers won the fight. I thought that Josh Van won every round of that fight. And I thought that, yeah, those two. I mean, I think that whoever gave Zalgas the fight in the Josh Van situation, I think it was Chris Lee.
It was because of the hair.
Whoever, stole the fight from Josh Emmers, again, I think it was Chris Lee. And
Sal D'Amato, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's, terrible.
I mean, that Jack Jenkins fight, I could see the first round being very, very close. And I thought Jack Jenkins might have edged him in that first round. But I thought Emmers also edged him in the second round. And there was no doubt about it that Emmers won the third round, the most important round of every single fight. Luke, we've talked about this numerous times. In a real situation, there's no rounds, there's none of this, there's none of that. Jamal Emmers in a room, you put those guys in a room, he's coming out winning.
I mean, it's literally welfare, as Faraz Zahabi would say, because the state is the mechanism that lifts you up from your feet. It's the state. It's the state athletic commission that puts the ref in there. It's the state athletic commission that organizes the structure of this encounter. So you're having the state, the government, come in and help you. You're on welfare.
I mean, but who's had a harder path in the UFC thus far in very early stages of his career than Jamal Emmers? I mean, he's fought Pat Sabatini, Giga Chikadze, Jack Jenkins, Abov, not Ashkabov is the guy's name, but I'm saying anybody with Abov at the end, like, you've got a tough time.
He's had a tough road to hoe, no doubt. But he also hasn't been doing, any favors towards himself. Giga Chikadze, he's in there doing kickboxing. He could have wrestled his ass all 15 minutes, made it a lot easier on himself. Then he goes in there with Pat Sabatini, and he's playing the leg lock game with this guy. Like, what are you doing? You could have outstruck Sabatini.
But Dan, remember, he was supposed to be like Movsar Evelev the night that he fought Giga Chikadze. So he's not really focused on offensive wrestling. All he's focused on is defensive wrestling and making Movsar Evelev pay.
So what? He just forgot all of his years of credentialed wrestling? He could have taken Giga down.
It's all about the preparation. You throw a jab straight right hook, you know what I mean, like 30 times in the gym or 300 times in the gym leading up to a fight. That's what you're going to.
Hey, Bruce Lee, flow like water, baby. Something new comes your way, you got to flow right into that glass. Mm-hmm. Come on now.
Absolutely. So. But yeah, I thought Pretty Boy won the fight as well. I was pretty confident going into the decision, and even on DraftKings they had it minus 1750 for Pretty Boy after the fight, before the scores were read. Post fight, wow. Pretty Boy was minus 1750. I found that out afterwards. If I knew, I would have obviously hedged on Jack Jenkins because I knew it was a pretty close fight.
Yeah, do you know what he was at? Jack Jenkins?
I mean, it has to be like plus 1500 at least. Yeah. On a minus 1750. So like I'm kicking myself on that facet of it all. I think Jamal Emmers won, but if I knew that those were the odds going into it, I knew it was a close fight. I'm not crying robbery by any stretch of the imagination.
First fight of the night is what I want to talk about. Cody Brundage, no need to retire. You're fired. It's like, it's like we're done. the biggest criticism from all the handicappers is Cody Brundage could win this fight. He's got the wrestling to do so. He's got Mark Montoya. He's a competent fighter, but he just got to not jump guillotine. He's got to not make big ring IQ mistakes. He's got to not end up in bad positions because of his decisions. And what did he do? I mean, he jumped guillotine 3 times. He jumped guillotine in every round. He managed to make mistakes that put him in the bad position. He didn't open his guard to try to get up, escape, do anything. He looked lethargic in there. And don't give me the whole short notice shit. No one forced you to take the fight, dude. If you didn't respect your opponent that much that you thought you could beat him with a half-assed effort, that's on you. And yeah, I mean, that was pathetic. I mean, Cedric Dumas, I don't think he's ever put on a singlet in his life. Meanwhile, you got Cody Brundage, who got second in the state in high school, and he couldn't take down and hold down a dude who looks like he's never wrestled at all in his all legs. I mean, that was crazy. Cedric Dumas was literally looking at his corner for
asking for advice
and had the time to competently understand the corner's instructions and then use those counter measures against Brundage, because that's how slow, like he was stuck in the mud, Brundage looked. So good riddance. I really wanted to be friends, but we cannot be friends with a performance like that. Cody Brundage, I really wanted him.
Absolutely sucked. But, credit to Dumas. Since he switched camps, he's going to a bigger camp, and he's not in his little hometown big fish small pond scenario.
Yeah,
he's getting tested, and he's working on different things. I didn't think he would make that big of a jump in his wrestling, but I don't know how much to credit to him, and I hate discrediting him for that performance, because he did very, very well against Cody Brundage, but I don't know how much to credit him and how much to discredit Cody.
Well, listen, it's a short notice fight that he looked like he had no gas tank in and no desire or will to win. And that's the problem with these short notice fights, is these guys have a built-in excuse. Stop with the built-in excuses. Stop with the short notice fights. How about this? There should be a B league of the UFC that is just kind of like an idol.
It's called Bellator.
No, I'm saying like have a league where guys are literally just idling. You know what I mean? And like have a program where I'm not saying don't give them fights, but I'm saying have a stable
farming system.
Have a stable of guys, right? So, and then every week have one employee of the UFC send a report to your stable of guys and say, we have coming up in this week weight class 3 welterweight fights, 6 flyweight fights, and 2 heavyweight fights. We need 12, 2, and fucking whatever to be like, you know what I mean? We need these amount of people to be ready if need be. So keep in mind, right? Click opt in if you are ready, so we know we can call you first, right? And it's like, just have a little bit of a plan. We know what's going to happen now. We don't need to just like, if every weekend there's backup fighters, then every weekend we should have a plan. We shouldn't just every weekend scramble on the fly and just do the routine that we do every time, which is just bribe guys and convince guys and let guys like fucking Jared Flash Gordon just show up half concussed and try to take a fight because they want money. It's like, no, let's just get some awareness and some communication around this fucking sport so we can actually and get the agents and the managers out of here, dude. No more agents, no more managers. They're done.
Absolutely.
No union either.
Did you guys talk about Allen when I was gone?
No, we're not there yet. Peak versus Mariscal. In the same way that I now cannot bet on Cody Brundage and cannot root for Cody Brundage to even have his job in the UFC, I can for Trevor Peak, because he, even with less of a pedigree than Brundage, he provides more effort. And that's really what it's about, because the fight doesn't begin when the ref says go. The fight begins when you face adversity. That's a fight. Trevor Peak is somebody who pushes through adversity despite limitations. Cody Brundage is somebody without limitations, with advantages, and wilts under adversity. Do you see the difference, guys? So don't say that I'm just some internet troll or some hater in the comments who wants to be mean and mean-spirited. That's not it at all, guys. I'm just describing objective reality as I see it. And if you can either choose to swallow the pill and be better, or, spit it out and call me a jerk. But I might be a jerk, and I also might be right. A blind squirrel still finds a nut every once in a while. Chepe Mariscal. The only thing I wish I knew about this fight was that I wish I knew that Chepe Mariscal trained with Justin Gaethje, because if there's one scenario that could prepare you for a Trevor Peak encounter, it might be being Justin Gaethje's punching bag out there in Colorado.
Well, the thing that I was most surprised by was not only the Mexican spirit is always there. These guys are very, very, very hard to put away. Very. Like, they have the Modelo fire in them to get it done. You know what I mean? This guy has a huge head. Huge head. Did you guys see the size of his jaw? I didn't know he'd be coming out there with a quadruple C, Courtney Casey Crimson Chin jaw. I mean, it's not the most defined jaw, but it's big. He's looking like
recognize it as that big. It was?
Dude, he has a huge head. It's like a Henry Cejudo head, a Buzz Lightyear head.
He's got like big ears, big nose, big like his it's almost like
big ass features.
He's got a big it's like everything is big. That's why you don't notice it, Dan, because it's all proportionally scaled with the size of the head. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
exactly. And you know, we're taking a guy in Trevor Peek who hasn't fought the likes of Sean Soriano, Steve Garcia, Joe Anderson Burrito, Bryce Mitchell, Yusuf Zalal, Pat Sabatini. Yusuf Zalal and Pat Sabatini, he beat both of them. So this guy has...
We really should have not been lazy about this and just said we said short notice. We said short notice. And really what I went with short notice and I went with geographic region. And I said, that's all I'm going to do. I said, Trevor Peek's from Alabama, huge audience down there. They want to blow the roof off this place.
You said Florida, Bama, sure.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, they'll send in this guy who is going to fight with him. But I just thought when the dust settles, Trevor Peek would still be the one standing. And it's not like we were wrong. I mean, there were multiple times where Trevor Peek had him very, very hurt and could have almost finished it, and vice versa, right? So I'm glad
his first loss was Gregor Gillespie, Luke.
I'm just very glad I didn't die on the violence hill of, hey, let's just bet that this fight doesn't go the distance, because it's always the fights that are so obvious to not go the distance that end up
Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou,
Michelle Pereira versus Cass Williams.
Yeah, right,
exactly.
I mean,
Hamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns
really well. What?
Hamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns.
Fuck you.
The classic Burn.
Fuck you. All right, that was you're an asshole for that.
Got to be brought up.
Joshua Van Zalgas Zumagulov. I was not upset about this split decision whatsoever. I thought Zalgas lost.
Zalgas got the shit beat out of him. He was second to Josh Emmett. Like, he lost that fight. It should not have been a split decision. He lost at least the second and third round.
But Luke, it's all in the hair, man. It's all in the hair. That you come out there with a fine mane like that, and it's all just flowing down so perfectly. He puts Paddy Pimblett to shame. He took Paddy Pimblett's haircut, and Zalgas Zumagulov went out there looking like a fucking beetle. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's got it going on.
He wears the hair.
He wears it like that's how he thinks he should look. Paddy wears it almost ironically.
Yes, he looks like if I were to pet his head, he might go. You know what I mean? That's how good that man's mane is. It's so.
Is that his hair? How did he grow it?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering. I've been wondering this the whole time.
Like it's so perfect. It looks like it was just sewn into like a weave.
Yes, we have no idea about the technology going on, and we'll talk geopolitics on the Patreon, of course. Actually, sorry.
Well, I mean, if you want to get a good anyway, listen, because I was gonna say Trump. I don't want to speak bad about Trump though, but they say that Trump has a very sophisticated weave. I don't know if I believe that. I'm just saying that
there's something about the floor of the Trump Tower that isn't numbered or something like that, and that's apparently the floor where he gets it. Yeah,
I don't know, but that could just be misinformation by the Clintons. I don't know.
Oh, disinformation, misinformation. The Russians are involved. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
Dude, anybody who talks, anybody who talks about Trump's weave gets suicided. So you guys better.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Nor do we condone it in any form.
So listen, Tabitha Ricci and Tabitha Ricci, Jillian Robertson. I can't stand Jillian Robertson. I don't know why. I just can't stand her. And
red hair. You said if you dye your hair, you die in the octagon.
I love Tabitha Ricci, but she didn't necessarily perform like I going into by that point. The decisions that had happened so far, I was like, who knows who the judges are going to give this fight to? A lot of people in the Discord, a lot of the commentary team seemed very confident that Ricci had won that fight, but it wasn't enough. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. I don't know, but it wasn't the best.
How could you? How could you pay attention? All I know
to
is,
me, if you're Tabitha Ricci, you got to go out there and submit this girl. Like
yes.
When Amanda Nunes head kicked Holly Holm and said, "I wanted to kick her in the head because she likes to kick people in the head." That's the fucking mentality you have to have if you're a baby shark. You have to say, "Yeah, everybody says that she's good at submissions. She's got the most submissions. I just submitted her. Who's next? Give me the title shot." That's what you do. That's how you write your story. But anyway,
you don't just take him down and let him up. She had a very Cuban approach to the fight in terms of scoring.
Just to move on a little quicker, second laziest pick of the night, Loic Radzhabov. We trophy certified him against Mateusz Rebecki. For me, I think it was just sort of like I was kind of obsessed with Tajikistan because of the two Tajikistan guys that fought the week prior. So I was kind of like excited about Tajikistan. Rebecki, I wanted to kind of fade him just because he had a history of winning, but not against high caliber competition. Not that this guy was high caliber competition, but I just felt like maybe this would be where the buck stopped. But I switched a lot of my bets to Rebecki once I saw the weigh-ins and once I saw as the fight got closer. If you are a Patreon member, you were privy to that. But the bet that I placed that I won in the Patreon had Rebecki in it. So happy to grab that value. Overall, he's a beast. Going to keep my eye out for him in the future. He seems to be talented everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the very, very, very few finishes of the night. I mean, I think we only had 2, 3, 4 out of 13. So we had 9 decisions throughout the night, and I'm counting the eye poke as a finish. So those are the only finishes we had all night long. Rebecki impressed. My dumbass, I'm watching the fight and I'm rooting for Rebecki, thinking that is Loic. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely picked this guy. Yeah, he's doing so well. Rebecki's getting his ass kicked, and come to find out, that was not Loic whatsoever. That was Rebecki himself.
That's always a weird feeling because I had forgotten I picked Cody Brundage, and I thought I predicted Cedric Dumas, and I was like cheering for Cedric Dumas the whole time. And then I find out, I'm like, wait, we trophy certified Cody Brundage? What the fuck?
Yeah, you were high on Brundage. Not to
You were the first one to take Cody Brundage.
Well, and
you said something like he's serviceable or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I think what I said was that he's a good wrestler, and Cedric Dumas doesn't contest wrestling necessarily and doesn't know what he's doing down there. But at the end of the day, yeah, that was a bonehead move on my part. So this is the night kind of took over for me after the Radzhabov.
Randy Brown actually had a terrible fight. Terrible fight.
Well,
I thought he could have lost that. Honestly, just watching it without any sound, I thought that there was a way to score it for Turman, and that was just my opinion. I think the judging was all over the place all night.
Well, and Phil Rowe and Magny kind of the same thing in that it wasn't it was a very close fight, and a lot of people were saying it was a mirror match, Rowe and Magny, just in terms of body type, build,
virtually identical.
But the thing is, I think Rowe really missed his opportunity there. And I was actually getting really nervous about us Triple P certifying Magny as the fight got more close. I'm like, Neil Magny's going to fucking blow this, man. He's going to not do well.
I thought the same, especially in that first round.
Yeah, that first round, I'm like, Neil Magny's done. He doesn't even care anymore. But then he does what he always does, which is he gives you a little bit of a scare in that first round, and then he turns it on and just volumes him to death and paces him to death and just looks like he's winning the fight for the next 10 minutes, And Phil Rowe talking all that shit about the UFC and stuff. It's like, hey, dumbass, they just gave you a fucking matinee matchup with a fucking perennial, the guy who has the most wins in the division's history, and they give you a matchup with him on a good card. Like, what's your problem, dude? Why are you bitching?
What was he saying?
I didn't even get through the interview. I only could listen to the first 5 minutes, but the headline was like, Phil Rowe goes off on UFC.
That's all we got.
So I'm just like, dude, anyway. So Phil Rowe,
that is annoying. Nobody really. I mean, I thought it was.
I just was saying why I'm like, it's like, dude, if you beat Neil Magny, then you can talk shit, but you fucking dropped the ball in a fight that was close enough to where you could have gutted it out and won.
And this was after the fight?
No, it was before.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna come in with this kind of chip on your shoulder, fucking win. You know what I mean? Don't be like, oh, UFC isn't promoting enough, and then lose to Neil Magny. It's like you just proved their point.
The UFC's what?
Hmm?
What did you say the UFC was?
I said you proved their point.
Oh, yeah.
If you are talking this shit that they don't promote you enough, and then you go out there when they give you Neil Magny, a perennial contender, a guy with most wins in the division's history, a guy who's got a name on him, a guy who matters,
a perennial
game card on
too.
ABC,
and a perennial gatekeeper, and you're on
Neil
ABC.
Magny matters.
That's what we're trying to say here. And yeah, it's like you're gonna bitch the UFC's not promoting you. It's like they are. You're just not seeing it, and in the opportunity, you're not seizing it. So.
I mean, if you look at the guys alone who have beaten Neil Magny, Gilbert Burns, who title contender, only D-Rod, he beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's about to be in the title picture.
Yes.
You know, Michael Chiesa was in the title picture with, the whole Kevin Lee scenario. But, like, Santiago Ponzinibbio in the title picture. Anybody who beat Rafael dos Anjos, even better, in the title picture. All these guys who have beaten Neil Magny get into the title picture. He is the stepping stone. He is the gatekeeper.
And Phil Rowe is not somebody you see in the same light as those guys that we just mentioned. And that's
the difference is Neil Magny isn't a gatekeeper who just gets stepped on easy. He's the Grim Reaper gatekeeper. He's like a Tony Ferguson type. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Clay Guida.
Yeah,
not Clay Guida, maybe more like I don't know.
Clay Guida in his prime, he was a perennial gatekeeper.
We got to put a bow on this card, so I'm just going to kind of give my quick thoughts on the rest of it, and then you guys can take over, and then we'll move on to UFC 290, Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. We're going to break that down. If you're here for Strickland versus Magomedov, take a look. It's already there, main card and prelims. For now, we're going to break down UFC 290, but then right afterwards, if you're enjoying the show, if you want more, we are going to hop into the Patreon, and we're going to give you another scrubbing, another fine-tooth comb review of this week's card, Strickland versus Magomedov. We're giving everything 2 looks, probably what's led to so much of the recent success, and we're going to give everything twice over, if you will, white glove treatment. If you want to see the second look, you go to the Patreon. If you want to see how we're betting, you go to the Patreon. And if you want to support the show, you go to the Patreon. You can stay and get your ass beat, stay and get your ass beat. You can stay and get your ass beat, as the famous JWoww said. Shout out to JWoww.
Luke is big on the Jersey Shore now.
Real quick. Brendan Allen did the damn thing. I think the days of Brendan Allen going in there like a dumbass and fucking everything up are behind us. David Onama did the damn thing. The days of, he ran into fucking Nate Landwehr in the 3rd round. He ran into a Homer Simpson Nate Landwehr in the 3rd round. Just forgive it, guys. Move on. Shit happens. Justin Taffa and Austin Lane. Again, Justin Taffa fade him, morbidly obese. Austin Lane bet on him. He is athletic. Barber, fucking Macy Barber. She is the future. She's here to say it. There's one thing I want to say. In her post-fight shit, after the whole card had ended and she's at the desk with Anthony Smith and those guys, Smith says, how are you prepared to deal with Amanda Ribas, who's so dangerous everywhere? I mean, she's good at jiu-jitsu. She's got the striking, blah, blah, blah. He's going off about Amanda Ribas, talking about this fucking ghost who she just fucking slayed. And my girlfriend even was like in the room and she goes, can you chill? Like
Anthony Smith's an idiot. But we
already
already
know. Why is he talking about her opponent like that? And then without missing a beat, Barber reiterates what my girlfriend said and goes, oh, you're talking about her? I thought you were talking about me. Anyway, I'm like, hell yeah, Macy. Hell fucking yeah. You should have been like, you're talking about who? That bitch I just killed? Yeah. Why don't we
in every facet of the game, too. In every single facet of the game.
The girl who I just left in a bloody fucking pool hugging the ref's leg trying to keep the fight going. Who are you talking about? Because I'm the future and I'm here right now. The future is now. The future is here. Ian Gary. I got a great joke. And for more great jokes like this, you got to go to the Patreon, but I'll sneak one in for you guys here. Ian Gary loves to take women's names, dude. He took his wife's name, Machado, and he took Macy Barber's name, The Future. Patreon.com for more hilarious jokes. A lot of Ian Gary talks on the Patreon. Okay.
Let's workshop that. I think if you would have said The Future first and then Machado after, it would have been a little better.
I know, I rushed it. I'm sorry.
And he even took his
Or
wife's
you could
name,
say,
Machado.
Hey, for a guy with 2 male names, Ian Gary, he sure does love taking women's names. We'll workshop
Dan.
here, folks.
The three of us, we could make some beautiful things happen.
Okay,
like
let's
the perfect parlay.
I'm wearing the Burning Ember shirt. I should do a shift here. All right, redo it. Reset. Okay, I'm gonna come in again. I'm gonna exit and I'll come back in. Hold on. Okay. No, just kidding. All right. Well, we got a lot to break down.
I wish you would have actually done it. I wish you would have committed to the bit for once in your fucking life. All right, yeah.
Wait, I'm not done. Onama.
You're on Topuria.
I am on Topuria.
Or the top 5.
Onama's a fucking beast, and he fucking destroyed that guy. And then he did the bow and arrow. Okay. Topuria. Dude, we've been saying I've picked Ilia Topuria in every single fight that he has had in the UFC. I've picked him emphatically. I never once ever gave anyone else a chance against him. And even in this fight, as it drew near, I was like, but Emmett is really fucking good, and he's a gamer, and he's skillful, and Ilya's confidence was making me a little bit nervous. But that's why I hedged $200 of my thousands of winnings on Emmett. But Ilya is just so fucking good, man. He's so trustworthy. He's so safe these days in there. I mean, he looks like he really patched up all the holes. And it looks like now that the UFC is giving him opponents that like he feels he's on the or like he feels he deserves to be fighting, it seems like he's fighting safer. It seems like when he was fighting guys like Jai Herbert and he got dropped, well, he had a sort of
short notice.
But he also had a certain level of disdain, I think, for like the opponent. Like he was just kind of like fighting slot more like risky, you know, still trying to like make that name. What I really loved about this fight was that people were tweeting like, I can't believe we ever thought Paddy the Baddy and Ilya would be a competitive fight. After seeing that, I don't know how that would go. And it's like, yeah, dude, there's a reason Paddy never wanted to fight him and was called. It was just
he's a weight. Ilia Topuria is a weight class below him.
Yeah,
and you know, Paddy's calling him a dosser, talking shit about his country, like all that jazz. And he's like, mate, I don't even know what country you're from. You rep the Spanish flag, but you say you're from Georgia. Like
that was bad.
That was a pretty good impression.
Thanks. I've got a pretty good Liverpudlian. But that all was when Paddy was surging, and now Paddy is kind of on the downslope, which is when we're going to want to bet him. I think Ilia Topuria loses to Max Holloway 100 times out of 100.
You're crazy. You're crazy, dude. He would beat the shit out of Max Holloway. Bad. And that's coming from one of Max Holloway's closest friends. Like, I'm very good friends with Max Holloway. But Max Holloway.
No, Luke, you're a Howley, bro. We've already been over this. You betray your Hawaiian brothers, bro.
No, dude. No.
Brada, you.
All right, actually, you know what? I take it back. It would be a very competitive fight, but it would. But
no, Max Holloway would treat him like he treated
Calvin Kattar is what you're gonna say.
That Boston boy.
No
timeout. No, don't hit me with the timeout.
Calvin Kattar lost to Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett was in no way competitive to Ilia Topuria.
Ooh.
That means that Ilia Topuria is leagues above Calvin Kattar. So it wouldn't look anything like that. I think it would look similar in that Ilia is going to take damage if he fights Max Holloway. Make no bones about it. But I think Max Holloway is going to take more. And if you look at the shape of their faces, the structure of their skull, and who's taken more shots over the course of their career, Max just doesn't have enough bullets in the chamber to go to war with Ilia. He doesn't have enough. Listen to me. He doesn't have enough bullets in his gun. Ilya's got 2 banana clips. Max, he's going to be like bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? It's like his brain. And I'm not talking about punching. I'm talking about brain shots. You know what I mean? I'm saying like Max's brain
Luke,
can't take
he
as many
does
hits.
the Nate Diaz. He does the Nate Diaz. All of those shots that are hitting him, he's going with them. So
not with Dustin Poirier. No, not with Dustin Poirier.
That was at 155 when he was fighting a bigger guy, and Ilia Topuria is a little boy compared to Max Holloway.
Dude, those weight cuts that Max has to do to get down to 145 are very unhealthy. They have not worked out well for him in the past. Every time you do it, it gets harder to do. He's got like 2 of them that he had to do without even getting a fight afterwards. You know what I mean? So,
Brada, he's going to go out there and destroy the Korean Zombie. They're going to match Volk up with Islam Makhachev after he wins this, and then he's going to have to fight Ilia Topuria, and the winner of that probably fights Volk.
Volk's not fighting Islam. All right,
Volk's not fighting Holloway for the 19th time. That would be
anybody else have any thoughts? So, guys, again, one of the biggest winning weekends monetarily that I've ever had, but I went 6 out of 13, just under 50% with my picks, bringing me to 36 out of 69. Wow, so interesting. 3-6-6-9. The bet that I placed to win this weekend was 3-6-9, $36.90. And now my picks are 3-6-6-9. 36 correct out of 69 given, 52% accurate in year 4. Alex went 5 out of 13, 34 out of 69 total for year 4.
Wait, how?
He slides under to 49% in year 4.
Damn.
Dan is operating in the lead, but he had the worst night last Saturday. He had the worst night he's ever had in his entire life. And he also had, a night that I also have had that back down in year 2, maybe year 1, maybe I had a bit. Let me see, year 1, my worst
year
night, events. So I had a night here. The worst event, UFC Vegas 15, Smith versus Clark. I went 2 out of 10.
Ooh.
That was one of my worst events of all time. Dan, you went 3 out of 13.
Man.
Magny, Brown, and Taporia, 3 favorites that you managed to get correct, but 3 Triple B certified favorites. So the only 3 you got right were 3 that Alex and I also got right. You're still in the lead, 40 out of 69, but I am on your heels, just 4 picks away from first place. 40 out of 69 correct, 40 picks correct out of 69 given, 57.8% accurate. Triple B certified picks are just a slight bit behind Dan. Triple B certified picks have led the way all 3 years of doing this show. Last year, they finished 70% accurate. All 3 of us finished in the 60 range, but they've led the way. And Dan, for the first time in a long time, has actually outpaced the Triple B certified picks by a percentage point. So 20 out of 35, 57% accurate Triple B certified picks, but Dan is, if we round up, he's 58. So, fantastic card.
Have you guys heard of a 50-42 before last Saturday?
No.
So how many rounds were 10-8'd, if that's the case?
I think 2. Maybe
3?
3.
I think it's 3, actually.
Yeah, 3. Because it'd be 50-45, yeah. If no rounds were. So, 3 rounds were 10-8'd.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, that's insane, yeah. That wasn't the case. He didn't get dropped. He didn't. There was, then what was Frankie Edgar Ray Maynard like round 1 of that fight? You know what I mean? Like,
but this was before the 10-8s were more common.
I guess I'm just saying, like, that's kind of crazy. I don't know. It didn't seem that one-sided that it would be 3 10-8 rounds, but
I mean, some of those Frankie Edgar versus Ray Maynard rounds could be scored like 10-6 on today's scorecards. You know what I mean? Like, they were getting fucking floored all over the place. That fight was crazy.
Yeah. So let's move on. We got to get into UFC 290. We got a lot to break down. We have a slate of 13 fights as it stands now. We were supposed to have Davidson Figueiredo versus Manel Cap, and Cameron Saaiman was originally supposed to fight Christian Rodriguez, but now he has a new opponent, Terrence Mitchell. And Davidson Figueiredo has an opponent that puts him, I believe, at about what is it? Or no, never mind. He's not on this card anymore. So we have 13 fights to break down. We're gonna start at the top of the card with the very interesting main event, UFC Featherweight Championship, Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. You may want to note your timestamp for this one, Alex. UFC 290, Yair Rodriguez versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski.
Are you starting? All right. So are you starting up top? Because every week,
let's start up top. And hey, here's the thing.
Somehow, Luke, every single fucking week, I get it wrong in the order I write them on the piece of paper. This week, I have the bottom to the top because the last 2 weeks.
Let's start bottom to top then. We'll always do bottom to top. So we got to warm up. Perfect. We got to warm up our voices. We got to warm up. So we'll start bottom to top.
La 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 la.
All right, everybody.
We need to be more sharp for the first picks of the fight. What? We need to be more sharp for the first few picks of the night.
You can say that again, Alex, because last weekend,
Dan,
you and I got the first 4 wrong. Dan got the first 6 wrong, and we all got at least 5 out of the first 6 wrong last week. But that being said, the Zhalgas Zumagulov fight was a lazy pick. We picked that very lazily because it was a short notice opponent, and the Trevor Peak one was a lazy pick again. The Jamal Emmers one was a robbery, and Brundage, I thought I picked Dumas. So I really can't even blame myself for any of those losses. Okay, let's get into it. UFC 290, Yair Rodriguez versus Alexander Volkanovski. We're going to give you everything prelims up to the main card. Let's get into the first fight. It's Cameron Saaiman versus Terrence Mitchell. And he's fighting on the same card as Duplessis, as is generally the case. He is taking on a man from Anchorage, Alaska, who is going to be 11 years older. But Terrence Mitchell is he's no old man. He's only 33 and a half years old. But he, when you look at a 33-year-old and a 22-year-old, it feels negligent and irresponsible to choose the 22-year-old who looks like he's in fucking the Dick Van Dyke Show. Where he looks like a fucking 1950s child. He's like a little well, gee willikers, guys. Like that's how he looks. I know he's from South Africa. I know he's not, some Happy Days character like I'm seeing in him, but it just doesn't seem like to say that a 22-year-old can beat a 33-year-old in any even if he was like not a UFC fighter, I feel bad saying that a 33-year-old would get beat up by a 22-year-old. Like I feel like I beat up any 22-year-old, including Cameron Saaiman, just because I'm 30. Am I wrong?
Look, Cameron Saaiman at 135 pounds, he probably walks around 155 pounds, would absolutely destroy you, even though he's 20 pounds lighter than you.
I don't know about that. About that. If I had 6 months,
Luke, he's 7 inches taller than you.
If I had 6 weeks, just to get some cardio, I think.
No. He walks up to your girl in the bar, slaps her on the behind.
He's 5'8". He's 7 inches taller than me. He's my height. He's 5'8", dude. Let's be real.
You are not 5'8".
But I'm close. I'm close to 5'8". So
5'3" is pretty close to 5'8".
I'm not 5'3". Stop saying I'm 5'3". Listen, I just basically feel weird about picking a short notice opponent who's never fought in the UFC, and I feel weird about picking a youngster who's only has 8 fights, half as many fights.
On the Ultimate Fighter, though, Luke. Kaikar France knocked out 51 seconds or 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He fought in the Ultimate Fighter, the toughest.
I'm thinking this guy's from Alaska. Does he train with Jared Cannonier?
Luke.
That might be some info we got to look up.
You mean like, did he ever?
Does he? Does he? I don't know.
Jared has not been in Alaska in a long time.
And okay. Jared Cannonier does not train in the Garage Crew.
He might, dude. I don't know.
Well, let's just see who Cameron Saaiman's opponent has losses to. He lost to Jesse Cruz, the Puerto Rican Gamecock.
Nice.
Team Quest Oceanside. He lost to him. This guy is 40 years old now, so he's 7 years older than Terrence, and he beat him back in 2010. So we're talking 13 years ago. So doesn't really make a fucking bit of difference, right? Not even relevant to look at. But he did lose to Kaikar France, first round knockout back in 2016 on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, what is that? What is that arguing though?
I'm saying
that he might
win. France knocked this guy out, so he got knocked out by Kaikar France in the first round. Now he's fighting Cameron Saaiman. I'm gonna go with Cameron Saaiman.
Yes, Cameron Saaiman all the way. The fact that it's this big of a question, Cameron Saaiman is going to destroy it.
Bro, Cameron Saaiman has 2 fights in the UFC, and he's fought nobody's. He almost lost to Mana Martinez. And he knocked out Steven Kozlow.
So you're talking crap on a guy who has 3 fights in the UFC, and not the guy who is fighting people who are not in the UFC and in our Alaska Combat Entertainment.
Fights, dude.
Luke, Alaska Combat Entertainment is that part of AEW or something? Alaska Entertainment Wrestling.
The 13-year-old grown-ass man, strong as fuck, from Alaska. He's obviously an alpha male. He's obviously
who got knocked out by a pretty boy in Kaikar France. What are you telling me? Another pretty boy is going to knock him out. How old is Kaikar France? 28? 33? 30.
Irrelevant. This is 30. Not going to be Triple P certified. I am going with Terrence Mitchell on this one. 15-2, 33 years old. He's going to have a couple inches of height on him. The reach is not listed, but I'm imagining he's probably got some reach in there as well. Alaska boy, done good. He's going to get it done. I like Mitchell in this matchup. Got to do some extra film study. Obviously, late minute replacement and all that jazz. But, hey, man, I feel like I've been burned on these kinds of fights very recently, and I'm not going to get burned again. Especially coming from Alaska. It's cold up there. I can't get burned from that.
The only guy from Terrence Mitchell's gym is Carlton Minus. So just...
Hey, got the minus touch, baby. Let's go. We're going to get this thing done.
Midas.
Shut up.
I gotta sneeze. Take us to the
Bless
next
you.
one, Alex.
All right, Jimmy the Brute Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. Two fighters that Luke has bad taste in his mouth from different occurrences.
Yeah.
I
That's why he's
personally
sneezing.
Hey, what happened
Yeah.
with Zoe? What happened with Zoe? Refresh my memory.
I think when he got beat by the guy with the deer on his chest. The deer on
Clark.
his
Clark.
Yeah, Devin Clark. Yeah, brown bear.
I don't know. I don't think.
And Jimmy Crute, we know
I
that
don't think I
story.
picked. I don't think me and Zoe have the history you're describing, but I do know that I would have won $20,000 if Jimmy Crute could have kept his leg from falling asleep during the Anthony Smith fucking catastrophe. Really, I don't blame Crute for that as much as I blame that crab in a bucket doctor, because Crute was willing to fight on, and Crute tried and successfully landed a takedown after that drop foot situation happened. To be honest, the drop foot might have been the thing pushing him to win the fight because he was getting jabbed to death by Smith up until that drop foot, and he forced him to shoot a takedown. Then he actually got Smith on his back. So really, I think rounds 2 and 3, maybe he could have let that nerve recover and get some takedowns, win that fight, win me 20 grand. But yeah, so Jimmy Crute, he lost to Jamal Hill. That was the big surprise for me. I didn't think that would happen.
Him and Alonzo Menifield drew. How have you not fucking brought that up yet? Him and the guy he's fighting now drew in their last contest. And you're talking about drop foot. You're talking about Jamal Hill. You're talking about all this shit. You're not talking about these guys matching up in their both last
I swear
fight.
to God, I forgot it even happened. I forgot it even happened. And honestly, you said Alonzo Menifield, and the image that came in my head was Vince St. Preux for some odd reason. So I know now what the fucking thing with Alonzo Menifield is that he lost to William Knight, and I picked him against William Knight, I think it was. And then I picked him to finish Ed Herman. I think that was it too. I picked him to finish Ed Herman, and he did not finish Ed Herman.
And you definitely picked him to beat OSP, and I took OSP.
Right, yeah.
Of course, I'm the OSP guy.
And in my head, I saw and heard OSP. I was like, so that's why I was confused. But okay, so he's fighting Menifield. Menifield and Crute fought before somehow.
Their last fight.
Yeah, their last fight. I'm looking at the topology. Guys, I'm looking at the fucking topology too. You didn't know either until it said 2.
Yes, I did.
All right, so who's your pick? Because I'm taking Menifield.
I thought Menifield was winning that whole last fight. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think Jimmy Crute won a round. I don't understand how. Oh, but wait a minute, fellas. I think I might understand how. Where was UFC 284 held? Was it in Perth, Australia? Where Jimmy Crute is from? When he got his ass knocked down from pillar to post in a fight and ended up getting a majority draw? 2 out of 3 judges scored it a draw. I think that the other judge scored it for Alonzo Menifield. If my memory serves me correct, I'm going with Alonzo Menifield. He's on home turf. This is in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's going to beat the shit out of Jimmy Crute. Beat him like a drum. The bongo drums on his head.
So Menifield was deducting a point in round 3 for grabbing the fence. That's why it was a draw. But he would have
For 2 judges.
So Menifield would have won the fight if not for that point deduction because Menifield won.
But it was a majority draw, which means 2 judges.
I have the scorecard right here, bro.
Who did the third judge?
I'm going to tell you every single score right now, bro. So Menifield won on 2 judges' scorecards, rounds 1 and rounds 2, and then lost round 3 on their scorecards, but had a point deducted in that round as well. He lost round 3 on all 3 judges' scorecards to Crute, and all 3 judges scored round 3 10-8 because of the point deduction. In one judge, Derek Clearly, he had Crute winning round 2 and round 3, whereas the other 2 had Crute losing rounds 1 and rounds 2 and only winning round 3. So one judge thought he won the fight, and 2 judges thought it was a draw. So that's why it was a draw.
And he
the
is
one judge
Crute.
whose scorecard picked somebody, he picked Crute.
Crute.
Yes, Derek Clearly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Menifield on this.
And let me just say this. Every single media member had it as a draw except for 3 who had it for Crute entirely.
Little inside baseball here from Lukey. Give me Crute on this one. I'm a Crute boy all the way through. I like the fact that he was dominating the last round, the round that matters the most, especially when you're going into a grudge match. round 3 is to me most important. You know, he's able to take Menifield's best shots, right? He got the knockdowns, but even in the rounds where he's getting knocked down, he's still matching them as far as the strikes landed. What do you got, bud?
Somebody commented 4 months ago, how are you guys scoring round 2 for Crute? I love the man, but he was half dead for the most part of it. Clear draw. And then somebody else said, same judge that scored Volk Islam 49-46 and only gave Volk round 5, just saying.
Ooh. Interesting stuff. Yeah. I think Crute's going to come out there not afraid of the weapons that Menifield's bring to the table as far as the striking, with the knowledge that he was able to take his best shots, still hang in there and win that last round, mostly with the grappling. 6 takedowns in its entirety for the last fight. I'm seeing more of that and probably some improved striking as well from Crute's angle. Give me Jimmy the Brute, baby.
You know what? It's funny, right? Because I do kind of think Crute comes away with this one being 8 years younger. I just think that they wouldn't have run it back if they didn't want him to win. I think that they would have just been fine letting the 35-year-old coast off with a draw. I'm just saying, I don't know. It just seems to me like, why are we even doing this again? And who does the UFC want to win here?
It was a very exciting fight.
Do they want Jimmy Crute to be winless in his last 4, or do they want him to get a win up off of Menifield, who will then have just 2 losses in his last 5, right? You know what I mean? I feel like they want to balance this out a little bit and have Crute win. And, you know,
I think is that they know for sure this fight was super exciting, fun the whole way through. It was a drag him out dog war, and you have another Australian on the card, you're going to get a lot more viewership. That's what I think. I don't necessarily know if they care about who wins as much, but they're like, we have an Australian headlining the card. We're going to get more views on the prelims for having an Australian on the bottom of the card. And this was a super exciting drag him out fight.
Yeah, and they probably both wanted to run it back quickly, too.
Exactly. I think they said that directly after the fight and have, they signed the contract. So,
all right, so here's what I got for you next. The UFC loves doing this. They love taking 2 people with similar names and putting them against each other to confuse the fuck out of everybody. So this is Victor.
That's their DraftKings partnership.
Yeah. This is the fight that gets you to place a bet accidentally. Okay, Vitor Petrino versus Marcin Prachnio. So we got Petrino versus Prachnio. You can have Al Petrino or you can have Marcin Petrino.
Petrino to Prachnio.
Yeah, it sounds like Dr. Steve Brule trying to pronounce Al Pacino, and he gets it wrong twice.
Al Petrino.
Al Petrino. Al Prachnio. This one is pretty straightforward to me. I'm going with the undefeated fighter who's 9 years younger and not from Poland and from Brazil. That's what I'm doing. I'm going with that's what I'm doing.
What's your beef with Poland?
I don't have any beef with Poland, especially after seeing Ribovics. But Polish fighters are either perfect, like, you know what I mean, like Joanna or like Ribovics, or they aren't. So this guy has 5 losses. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's not.
Dan, are you Polish?
He got beat by Felipe Lins, who stinks. Sure, he beat Will Knight last time, but you guys remember that fight? That was the fucking worst fight anybody's ever seen in the history of ever. So
this will be a good joke between 3 Polish descent people. Dan, why wasn't Jesus born in Poland?
Why not?
They couldn't find 3 wise men.
It's messed up, dude.
Why?
Because that's actually not true.
Well, you can say that about every country besides.
Poland wasn't a country then, dude. Poland wasn't even a country then. Let's look up when Poland was established.
There wasn't even nation states.
But it wasn't on the land,
bro.
Luke. It wasn't on the land.
History of Poland. Okay, let's see. It looks like 1795. So you're talking about Jesus, and the kingdom of Poland emerged in 1025, 1,000 years after Christ walked the earth. So,
but it wasn't on that land, Luke. I don't think anything was called what it's called now when Jesus was walking the earth, if he so was.
That's like you saying, why wasn't Jesus born in America?
Did you know Jesus was a Jew?
What? I thought he was like
Clerks.
a Christian guy.
Clerks, yeah. To read your Bibles. There's all kinds of crazy shit in there. All right, everybody, make sure you read your Bibles. Next, we got Esteban Ribo.
Whoa, hold on.
Luke, you're the
Sorry.
only.
Well, it's a pretty straightforward fight. 8-0. I mean, let's go. 8-0. He's
I don't know. Marcin, he's a tough nut to crack. Ooh, got him there with the name stuff. I might be tempted with Marcin Prachnio. He really is a tough one. You know, the karate gives these guys, especially UFC newcomers. I know he's not a newcomer; he's got one fight in there, but you know, some of these younger fighters, the karate gives them some difficulties. I don't know. I think this could be
your picks so that next week you can change them all and provide value to the Patreon audience.
Did
Did you make all your picks and then invert them? Just to be able to come back next week and be like, I'm changing every pick.
No. This one is really tough though.
Okay. Not for me.
I don't want to dilly-dally on this. I'll go with the young undefeated guy. I'll go with the undefeated guy. It's gonna be wrong. It's gonna be wrong, but whatever. I'll go with it.
Prachnio. Why wouldn't you? All right, so we're
All right, fine. I'll take Prachnio. I'm taking Prachnio. That's what it is. All right, move on.
It's interesting because Prachnio's last 4 wins are Khalil Roundtree, mental little person, Ike Villanueva, and
Awesome.
William Knight. You know, the 3 guys,
Powerful dudes.
And guess what? He is Sam Alvey's second to last win in his career. Martin Prachnio got beat the shit out of him.
All right. I'm switching again. My final switch. Bobby Petrino. We're sticking with it.
So that should, if Alex will confirm, make the first Triple B certified pick of the card.
Yes.
Ooh, it's storming over here.
I'm taking the guy who didn't get knocked out by Sam Alvey in the first round. Whoa, whoop-de-doo.
I'm jealous. I love a summer rainstorm.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Submarine?
Summer rain.
Oh, don't go.
What? Wait, did something happen recently?
Patreon.
We'll talk about the submarine in the Patreon. Did you guys know that like 700 people survived the Titanic?
I didn't know that number.
Died, or it was like 1,200.
I watched that dumbass movie, and that
more than 1,000, less than 2,000 died, and then like a lot of them made it out. I used to think the Titanic was sunk on purpose to kill the people who opposed the Federal Reserve Bank. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, wait, why wouldn't they like? They could have that would have been so silly because they could have survived. Like some people survived. Imagine you sink a whole boat and the people you tried to kill on the boat didn't like they made it on the lifeboat. Like you'd be so pissed, you know. But
only the women and children, and they didn't have the internet back then, Luke. So they were like, "I'm never going to have a." Who's the guy who threw the discus at Zeus? You know, the guy from Clash of the Titans, the movie. Fuck, whatever. It's Greek mythology. Whatever, Dan. You don't know. Perseus, yes. He threw a Zeus and fucking knocked Zeus in the head. Or something like that. I don't know. What
Apollo, you're thinking of. He flew too close to the sun. Anyway. Moving on, we got Camuela Kirk. Camuela Harris Clerk versus Esteban Riboflavin. Esteban Ribovics. Yeah, this is a fight. You know, it's the Jawaian Kamala Kirk, the Jawaian.
What's that mean? What's that mean?
Jamaican Hawaiian?
Juana man?
Juana man? I don't know. But you know, he's got a career in the LFA. He came into the UFC, beat up on Makwan Amirkhani 2 years ago, and then was inactive until getting submitted by Damon Jackson. And then our man Esteban Ribovics, El Gringo, El Gringo Papi, he came in and lost. So Ribovics lost to Radzabov, and I believe that was short notice. Let's actually check into that real quick. Jones versus Gane. Yes, Esteban Ribovics was supposed to fight Camuela Kirk, and Camuela Kirk pulled out like a bitch, and Lloyd Radzabov had to step in on short notice, and he beat Esteban Ribovics in a fight that went to decision, and apparently, yeah. So I'm taking fucking Ribovics because he already won this fight once. Kirk already pulled out once. He already couldn't even make an attempt. He was so scared. So I'm going with the El Gringo.
Hell no, you're
Two really
dumb.
offensive names, by the way. El Gringo and the Jawaian. I don't know what Jawaian means, but it just doesn't sound good. And then El Gringo, I mean, that's...
Luke, all I call him is Kamala Harris Kirk, okay? That's all I call him, okay? And Kamala Harris Kirk is going to win this.
Camuela. It's not Kamala. He is Camuela.
Kamala Harris Kirk, whatever you want to call it. It's similar enough.
It opens like a flower.
Kamala Harris Kirk is going to win this fight easily. If you watched Esteban Ribovic's fight against Loik Radzhabov, this guy wrestled the hell out of him. These guys from Central America, they haven't picked up the wrestling yet. It's right in between America with the folk style wrestling. It's right in between Brazil with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They get a quarter of both of it, so they really know nothing about that. And if you remember Kamala Harris Kirk beating up Makwan Amirkhani, it was very wrestling based. I think he's going to take this guy down. He's going to hold him on his back. It's going to look like Cody Brundage, somebody with no wrestling, pulling guillotine, trying to go for triangles up top. It's not happening against Kamala Kirk.
It's going to be a Kirk Merc. Kirk's coming in there with the wrestling. I like what our grappling aficionado, the Euro Under King, has to say. Fight ready, Santino DeFranco trained, Kamala Kirk coming in with the grappling. Like you said, I mean, I've been loving what this guy's been bringing to the mat. And I think that Ribovics, he's going to have a rude awakening as far as, bringing his South American wrestling chops into a matchup like this. So Kamala Kirk with the Merc. Put it down.
Dan, did you ever see The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody as a kid?
Yeah, I saw a couple episodes.
Esteban Julio.
I don't know what you're
Esteban
saying.
Julio Diego de Beno de Arce. The bellhop. He had like 17,000 middle names. And he was like, nobody messes with Esteban Julio Rodrigo de Beno de... he just had a million middle names. It was funny. I just thought it was... Esteban, his name's Esteban as well.
Ricardo Montoya de la Rosa Ramirez. We're getting the intel now.
That must be Luke's baby mama on the chat. There's no way he knows who that is. Next up, we have, and Dan, could you read the timeout for me up top while I'm reading this?
Yeah, right now we got 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 45 seconds.
Okay, and who is fighting?
Oh. Gotta go to the tap. Hold on. Our next fight will be Yasmin Jauregui.
No, Uruguay.
I just walk right into that? Come on now.
Oh!
No! Going up against Denise Gomes as an ad pops up blocking my view, but I still remembered it. Yasmin Jauregui, Denise Gomes. I'll take this one over. Jauregui, man, has this chick been impressive? Just about all facets of the game. It seems like she's already mastered at a young age the grappling, the striking, that Latin toughness. I feel like the UFC is, hey, listen, we struck out with Irene Aldana. Let's throw another Mexican fighter in there, get the job done, get the Mexican fan base involved. This chick seems like the real deal. I think she's going to get it done against Gomes. Yasmin Jauregui, not sure what the odds are on this one, but, normally we shy away from heavy investment on the female fighters, but this chick, I don't know. I think she's going to turn the tide as far as those kind of bets for me.
Yeah. I think Yasmin's going to be saying, BD, get out of my laboratory. Come on now. That's what's going to be happening here. Yasmin Jauregui is going to get it done. I just can't see a way. I mean, I know DD has some good experience in the past. She fought Luca Bomi, but Bruna Brazil, her only win in the UFC, not very good. That was her first fight in the UFC, lost right away. I'm going to go with Yasmin, Uruguay, and Luke. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I'll co-sign Yasmin Jauregui. Mexico's very in right now as
So in.
what?
I said so in.
Yeah.
It's totally fetch.
Yes. So we gotta ride. We gotta feed the hot hand. Even though what's her name fought like the cartel got to her and told her to fucking lose by decision. I mean, seriously, she's from Guadalajara. I've racked my brain.
All right, Patreon.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, no, let's not even talk about that at all. Let's not talk about that at all. Okay, yeah. Sorry, everybody. I love Mexico and I love
Guadalajara.
So we can move on. I'm gonna take Yasmin Uruguay. So are you, Alex? Dan?
We already both picked and we both agree. Triple P certified.
Let's do it.
What do we got next, Luke?
Sorry, wait. What? I missed your guys for the fight before that, but I'll just wait till the end. Just go ahead. Sorry. Next, we got Shannon Ross versus Jesse Aguilar.
Who wants it?
Okay, well, I guess I should give you guys this. I always forget, like, there's some people who are watching for the measurables. So, like, I got to do this, even though we already know, obviously, we know everything about everybody and every fighter at all times. But, 5 foot 4 inches tall, Jesse Aguilar taking on 5'6" Shannon Ross. Shannon's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, but he's also going to be 7 years older, coming off back-to-back losses. Both these guys coming off losses, but Aguilar lost to Tatsuyo Tiara by submission 4 months ago. And, Clidson Rodriguez knocked out Shannon Ross 4 months ago. So this is like the B version of the fight we were going to see last weekend, which was supposed to be Clidson Rodriguez versus Tatsuyo Tiara. The two guys that beat these two guys were supposed to fight last weekend, didn't. Now these two will fight each other. The thing that I like, though, is, like the path to victory for Ross is striking, it would seem. Yet he is out here getting knocked out in his last 2 fights, right? I don't like coming off 2 knockouts in the last 10 months. Whereas Aguilar, who already is bringing that Mexican durability from Baja California, he's already bringing that heat, that flame, that passion, that fire. But at least his last loss was by submission. So he's not coming in weathered at all. I'm going to go with Jesse Aguilar here again. I mean, I know we got a lot of Aussies on this card, but it's not in Australia. It's in America. And my stomach is hurting right now just thinking about that long flight. I mean, just to, all the travel, like all the intangible disadvantages that fighters from that part of the world have coming over here. I just can't imagine having to fight and perform with all of that thought trash that hovers in your brain. Like, oh man, I probably could perform well, but I got all these things like, that I'm facing that my opponent isn't. And, add 2 knockouts on top of that, I feel like the 27-year-old is going to be a lot fresher. And even though he's going to be a little shorter, I think he makes the weight more easily and gets the win at 125 pounds. This fight, I'm going to guess, doesn't happen. I bet that Ross misses weight. That's my thought. All right. Yeah, I'm going to bet that Ross misses weight. So anybody want to take me up on that bet in the comments, go ahead. Let's just do a gentleman's bet.
Take him on. Should we bet it?
On Jesus Aguilar. I think I said Jesse Aguilar like every single time.
You did say Jesse.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept saying Jesse, but that's a good nickname if your name's Jesus or Jesus. But so Jesus Aguilar, we'll go with him.
Nice. So we got the Aussie versus Mexico fight 2.0. Probably not the one that people really want to see on July 8th, but we're going to get it anyway. I'm going to take the Mexican in this circumstance, Jesus Aguilar. I think the UFC is throwing him a bit of a bone. They made him wear the tiara in his first UFC fight. They're saying, listen, you can take the tiara off now. We'll give you a winnable fight. Especially a guy, like you said, coming from the opposite end of the world, 2 knockout losses in the past year. I think Aguilar is going to have a couple of advantages going into this bout. So, not really sure what the odds are. I haven't checked, but I like the fact that I don't know the odds on this fight. They're not going to sway me. I like Aguilar. I'm going to stick to that. I'll check the odds after we break down this entire card.
Oh boy, Alex, what do you think?
Alex, are you there? Hello, Alex.
Ooh, I gotta sneeze again, dude. What's going on with my air quality?
How's the pollen
Lingering.
count?
It's
Check
like
your
lingering
phone.
right here. You know what I mean? It's like, and then the light. I got the light in my eyes, so it's
Ooh.
like making them
Got some
tear up.
watery eyes. See them watering over there.
I know they're watering, my dude. They're watering, and I have nothing to wipe them with.
There you go. All right, I guess we could move on here. Alex will come back. He'll give his pick for Shannon Ross and Jesus Aguilar.
He's back. He's back.
He's back.
All right. The Turkish Delight versus Jesus Aguilar. Two guys on a skid. I'm just going to default, go with the younger guy. I think that this is a build-up card for Mexico, and foreshadowing, I don't think every Mexican on this card is going to win. So I'm going to take Jesus Aguilar. He's just the younger guy. I mean, I guess you could say the same about Australia. It's a Australia build-up card. You know you're going to have a couple Australians win. You know you're going to have a couple Mexicans win. It's going to be all hunky-dory out here. But I think Jesus Aguilar wins this fight. Just younger. He doesn't have as much experience, but 34 years old, and the flyweight division is pretty old, as Dan would say.
All right, Settle Trophy certify Jesus Aguilar. Next, man.
Dan, do you not agree? Did you take Shannon Ross? Why
No.
did you giggle at that? You always say that old men in a low weight division fade quicker.
Yeah. No argument here.
Why did you giggle then? Why are you giggling at me like a little?
Because I'm just in a good mood, Alex. I'm having fun with my buddies on the podcast.
All right. Well.
All right. Next, we got Sean Brady versus Jack Della Maddalena. This is the
tie a knot in it.
All right.
I said, Dan, tie a knot in all the fun you're having. No more fun. It's all picks here on out.
Drinking coffee. I'm drinking coffee.
Got some coffee here too. All right. It's iced coffee. So Sean Brady, Jack Della Maddalena. Guys, it's so easy. It's the easiest pick of the card. It's Jack Della Maddalena. Interested to hear your guys' breakdown. I'll elaborate on why that's my pick, but I'm just going to let you guys know right now. I'm preserving no loyalty here. You know, we got Joe Pfeiffer does a podcast with Sean Brady, and Joe Pfeiffer, obviously a friend of the show, was going to come on the show. But ultimately, to me, it's so simple. Can Sean Brady submit Jack Della? The answer to me, over 3 5x5s? No, you can't do that. It won't happen. He won't be in the position, and he won't be in the position long enough to make a submission happen. Jack Della can and probably will get very busy on the feet. And I think what we saw, if you can get overwhelmed by Bilal Muhammad, you can definitely get overwhelmed by Jack Della. Let's just say that. Jack Della, he submitted Randy Brown, but he knocked him out first. He fucked him up first on the feet. I mean, I think this is pretty straightforward.
But Luke, here's the problem. Randy Brown wants to keep it on the feet as much as he possibly can. Sean Brady wants to take it to the ground as much as he possibly can. Maddalena hasn't lost since his first 2 fights ever. He's getting a lot of favorable matchups. And Luke, you said it. The Randy Brown loss was all because they had him holding varmints. No?
Well, that's a theory, but he was holding varmints. He was holding wallabies. He was holding different Australian wildlife.
Koalas, known for having syphilis.
He could have gotten a novel virus.
Or chlamydia, sorry.
But Randy Brown didn't look all that impressive against Wellington Turman. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, he got Randy Brown the fuck out of there in 1 round. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and Randy Brown did not look good against Wellington Turman, so I'm not necessarily going to score that, as well as I score his knockout of Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, of course. But Sean Brady losing to Bilal Muhammad after putting it on Michael Chiesa, ranked guy. This guy hasn't really fought any ranked guys. Maybe Randy Brown was ranked at that time, but after Saturday's performance, I don't necessarily think Randy should be ranked at all. I think Sean Brady goes out there, takes this to the ground, goes back to the basics. I didn't think that fight against Bilal Muhammad should have been stopped. Did you guys? I thought that was a little bit of an early stoppage. Must have been.
His butt didn't hit the ground.
His butt didn't hit the ground. He was against the cage. If you know anything about a Philly scumbag, until the butt hits the canvas, it's not over. They're coming back. They're spitting in your face. They're throwing up. They're throwing up on your daughter. Throwing batteries at Santa. you guys don't know anything about Philly fans, okay? Sean Brady was fine. He was completely fine. I believe that one was in Saudi Arabia. The fight with Jack Maddalena against Randy Brown, that was in Australia. So now Sean Brady is on his home turf, Las Vegas, Nevada. Sure, it's 4 hours away, but it's not an 18-hour flight like it is from Australia. Sean Brady's going to go out there and wipe the canvas with Jack Maddalena. He's going to pull his nose to the other side and make it toward his right ear instead of his left, or vice versa.
Dan, break the tie.
You know, I really don't want to do this. I'm embarrassed. I'm a little bit scared, to be honest, to go against my Philly brethren. Gonna have to put the disguise on when I do this. I'm going with Jack Della Maddalena. I think he's gonna keep this one on the feet, not get taken down, and go to work with the body shots, head body, and get this thing done inside the distance, much like Bilal Muhammad, but probably a little bit more vicious. Going with Jack Della.
You heard it here first. On an island by myself with Sean Brady, Luke and Dan both takes Jackson Mandela.
Oh, it wasn't me. Someone else was in here. I don't.
Listen, I'm cutting bait. I'm being a turncoat here. I'm sorry. You know.
Yeah, you guys would never last here.
Listen, we got another one coming up. This is an interesting one. Nico Price versus Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler, big time disappointment. Nico Price, also big time disappointment. And I'll tell you why. Robbie Lawler should have been able to put up a little bit more of a fight against Brian Barberena. Nico Price should have been able to fucking handedly deliver an ass whooping to Cowboy Cerrone. Both of these guys failed to do that. Both these guys have been underperforming as of late. I mean, let's be real. Let's look at Nico Price's frustrating career. Is able to beat, amazing opponent. Like dating back all the way to 2016, he's in there in the UFC. He's able to take on high-level opponents from the very start. He's able to beat high-level opponents like Randy Brown, like Tim Means. He's able to compete against opponents like,
If you remember how good Brandon Thatch was in like the 2013 to 2016 range, like that's a huge win. Like Brandon Thatch was an absolute dog.
Beats Cowboy Oliveira. But then, in his last fight, he loses to Phil Rowe. And when Nico Price loses, Phil Rowe, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Abdul Razak Al-Hassan, he gets finished, guys. He gets finished. So this is an interesting one. I really think, at 33 years old, the hybrid Nico Price is coming in against Robbie Lawler with like enough to win against the 41-year-old. Will he fight smart? To me, that's something you can never really bet on. I mean, Nico Price fights like a jackass. He fights like a Make-A-Wish kid who's just in there because somebody let him be in there. Like he fights like he's just having a good time. He doesn't fight like he cares about winning or extending his career or even getting a bonus for his win bonus that is for his family. He just fights stupid. He fights, and he was happy with the draw against Cowboy. He was happy. Say what you want about Cowboy, he wasn't happy with no fucking draw. And to be happy with the draw is like pathetic. These guys, right? Like I hate guys who hide behind the shield of I fight for the fans and to be entertaining, and it's like okay, like that's a crutch, dude. That's a mental crutch. Because it's like, oh well, the fans won with me and Cowboys fight. No, the fans didn't win. The fans didn't win, dude. That's not what happened there. We all lost money when our bets pushed. We lost opportunity. And so did you. You're supposed to send guys like that out on a stretcher. Take the old cow out to pasture. Lawler's that should happen to a 41-year-old, but I just don't know. I just don't know. What do we think?
That was the same point I was going to make. I'm going to take Nico Price, but I'm not going to be crazy heavy on it because last time I was crazy heavy on Nico Price winning a fight. It was against Cowboy Cerrone, and he couldn't even get it done against him. So I'm going with Nico Price, the hybrid. Yes, he did beat my hero, Nick Diaz, but I don't necessarily think that says much about either fighter. I think the Brian Barberena knockout, especially after Brian Barberena's latest performance when he came in looking like a GTA character against Rafael dos Anjos and Gunnar Nelson getting his ass kicked. I really do not think Yeah, I just
it's
don't see.
unforgivable.
I don't see Robbie Lawler making it to the final bell. But
Yeah,
I could see a world where Nico Price gets knocked out. He's dumb. He used to be a cop. He has 19 fucking kids. He doesn't know how to make good decisions.
yeah,
He's
no, for sure.
he's the Philip Rivers of the UFC.
Yeah, it would be frustrating to be. No, man, I don't want to like shit talk people, but it's like,
I love Nico Price,
yeah,
but bad decisions are bad decisions. You got to call them objectively.
but yeah, and it's like Robbie Lawler too, though. It's like you go in there and you get knocked out by Brian Barberena. You're 41, 16 losses. If you just look at Robbie's career, like Robbie Lawler is such a fan favorite, but if you just look at his career, like, I mean, it says number 33, top fan favorite MMA fighter out of all MMA fighters of all time on Tapology. But I'm saying like knockout loss to Brian Barberena, decision loss to Neil and Colby, gets literally a loss on his record from Ben Askren. RDA, the last time this guy won was against Nick Diaz, Cowboy Cerrone, Carlos Condit, other old heads, and then you have to go back to 2015 to find, times where he was beating, contenders for the
Donald
belt.
Cerrone, though.
I just think 8 years have gone by, and if you can lose to Brian Barberena by knockout, you can lose to Nico Price in the same exact way.
I agree completely, Dan.
I like the over on this one. I'm going to take Nico Price, but I'm going to be more interested in an overplay. Maybe, depending on the line, over 1.5, maybe even goes the distance. I could see it going the distance for sure. Both these guys at this point in their career, not really, a whole lot of finishes coming their way. I think Robbie Lawler is still relatively durable. The Brian Barberena fight, yeah, he got knocked out, but he absorbed like 150 punches. So that's durable to me, especially at 41 years of age. And, Lukey loves looking at guys' head sizes and everything. Everyone knows Robbie Lawler got a big old dome. I think he can absorb a lot of the shots coming his way from Nico. I'm going to take Nico for the win, just slightly due to volume. But again, I think the over 2.5 or maybe even goes decision would be the play here.
And let us not forget, most of Nico Price's knockouts in the UFC come from the bottom. So I don't think Robbie Lawler is going to try to take him down at all. So I don't think Nico's going to be open for an opportunity to swipe those hammer fists across the top or have an up kick knock somebody out.
All right. Yeah, this is a tough one. Check back in with me next week, guys. I got to see some.
But this is an easy one coming up, baby.
Oh, so easy coming up. Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner.
Hell yeah. Bigger, longer, stronger. He's been training with the Khamzat Chimaev. He has been getting that wrestling down after his fight with, what was it, Mateus Gamrot that he lost?
He lost a split decision to Mateus Gamrot. A lot of people think he won. It was a close fight.
It was a close fight. Very close fight.
From being one of the biggest favorites on the card when he was fighting Dan Hooker, or not, but a favorite, to then being an underdog against Gamrot.
Yeah, which is a tough difference. Like, you're not training any wrestling when you're training
Gamrot
against
submits Dan Hooker in round 1. So, Gamrot takes Dan Hooker down and submits him in round 1. Let's be real.
Exactly. The hangman would get hanged by Mateus Gamrot. Jalen Turner is also going to give Dan Hooker a similar fate. If he doesn't knock him out, he is submitting him. I think Jalen Turner probably ends up submitting Dan Hooker. I don't know what the odds are on that thus far, but I'm super interested on the Jalen Turner, the tarantula, wrapping those long limbs around him and submitting him. I can't wait. But honestly, I think he's going to be able to knock Dan Hooker out in the first round, so might not even see the light of day.
Yeah, I like finish. I like just
going to the mat. Yeah, by finish.
I think try to think about Dan Hooker just taking the exit. You know what I mean? Like if he had a broken hand. That's why he couldn't fight Jalen Turner in the first place. Broken hand. So he had to fix the hand with surgery. Then he had to rehabilitate the hand. All of that time, Jalen Turner, like you said, been training with Khamzat Chimaev, been working on new parts of his game, been fucking compounding everything and getting better. And now Hooker gets back to training with this hand that has to dude, I hurt my wrist snowboarding. It hurts to do push-ups. And that wasn't a break. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, it takes a while to come off the couch and start doing things right again and hitting, you know what I mean? And then he's going to go into this fight. I feel like he's not going to throw a lot of punches. He's going to get overwhelmed on the feet. He's going to drop down to his butt. He's either going to get TKO'd by covering up, like how every one of Chael Sonnen's losses like feels like, you know, like where he's just covering up against the cage and getting punched. Nothing's really getting through perfectly, but just the ref has seen enough.
It's just overwhelming.
Exactly. Or he gets actually dropped, rocked, and lets himself be choked out. But so it's like in the chaos of the fight, his neck could become available, or he could be in a position up against the fence getting wailed on. I could see him getting finished in both of those ways. So I just think Jalen Turner by finish is the move.
DK should have a bet that says standing TKO, because I would take that 100%. It has to be like 10,000 plus 10,000. Anybody should bet standing TKO in any fight ever. Dan, what do you think?
Turner by finish. I got nothing else
Beautiful.
to say. You guys have put a nice little bow on it. I think that's the play for sure.
Love it. And
Beautiful.
yeah, just love everything about that fight. I actually already do have a money line bet on Jalen Turner solo. So, all right, Robert.
Magnificent.
What's the deets on that?
He's minus 200 money line. So I had a big pot of money for my winnings last week. I took the minus 200 money line to win 100. So not the best, smartest bet in the world, but really my thought was it's the first fight of the main card.
Right.
So let me just grab a quick hundo and then play with that as I go up the main card.
Not very quick. It's on the main card.
It's just like when I feel strongly about a fight and I have a bankroll, like choose to win money, you know?
I think it's smart. Yeah.
So the other, and you know, there's another fight for this weekend that I have a similar style bet for, and I'll let you guys know in the Patreon episode.
I keep writing times down, and then we keep diverting.
All right, so Robert the Reaper Whittaker, 24-6, taking on Dricus du Plessis, 19-2. DDP is coming in hot off of that win against Derek Brunson. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's got about an inch of height. He is 3 years younger, and he's from South Africa. Now, in the UFC, he has a lot of finishes. KO'd Marcus Perez, KO'd Trevin Giles, took Brad Tavares to a decision, Hawaiian, took Darren Till's fucking soul, beat the shit out of him in round 1, choked him out in round 3. Derek Brunson KO'd him stiff, corner stoppage, whatever you want to call it, 3 months ago. Now, Rob Whittaker, very impressive career, obviously. His only losses in recent memory are to Israel Adesanya. He's got wins over the likes of Jared Cannonier, Darren Till, Marvin Vittori, Yoel Romero, Kelvin Gastelum. Only Israel has been able to keep Rob at bay as of late in middleweight. People are calling Rob one of the best of all time. I personally can't stand Rob Whittaker. I don't like him, his persona. I don't like his fight style. I don't like I don't like Rob Whittaker. People they try to force Rob Whittaker down my throat. I don't like Rob Whittaker. So I hope he loses. I hope DDP knocks him out. I think DDP knocks him out. I'm going to pick DDP to knock him out.
Ooh. That's a hot take. Not a lot of people
DDP is going to fucking blitz him and punch him and kick him and knee him, and he's just going to just run through Robert Whittaker in a way that is crazy. It's going to be fucking crazy. People are going to be like, what the fuck? Rob Whittaker is so good. Oh, what happened? My world is collapsing on me. And I'm going to be like, yeah, it's MMA, guys. Rob Whittaker got knocked out by Wonder Old Man. Knocked him out. Remember that. Don't ever forget that. He's not as good as you guys think. He lost those Yoel Romero fights. Yoel Romero pretty much killed him in both those fights. I don't know how people give Rob Whittaker those fights. He lost to Yoel Romero like both times. And he got knocked out by Izzy twice in one fight. And then he himself thinks that he beat Izzy in that second fight. It's like, you didn't.
I thought he beat Izzy in that second fight. I thought Jared Cannonier beat Izzy in their last fight.
Well, that's just insane.
He's a better case against Yoel Romero beating him. Yoel Romero did beat him.
I think Yoel, Jared Cannonier, and also
it's DDP.
Robert Whittaker beat Israel Adesanya.
I'm not talking Diamond Dallas Page now. I'm talking about Dricus du Plessis. Still knocks. They are, it's funny. They're really dealing them from the bottom of the deck here. The easy situation is just put him right in against Izzy for a title shot. Why are we going to have Rob Whittaker, be the Marab of the division? There's like nobody wants to see a trilogy of Izzy and Rob. Nobody.
I do.
Nobody wants to see it. So Rob wins. Then what do? Immediate rematch for Izzy, and now it's best of 5. Like we did a best.
That's
of 3.
what you did with when the same guy who's knocked Izzy out twice and beat him in a unanimous decision.
Different sport.
True.
It's a different sport, and I'm just saying, like, So Rob wins. Then what happens? Does Izzy fucking go like up to 205? Does he fight Robert again in an immediate rematch? And then he beats Rob, or and then he's 3-1, and then we just call it. It's done. Like what?
Once Alex Pereira wins the light heavyweight belt, that's when they do the trilogy.
It's
by
gonna
the way.
Yeah, I know, but it's gonna be the next year and a half of our lives if Rob wins. It's gonna be Izzy and Rob for another year and a half. Same story we've seen twice.
Who else is he gonna fight? He's lapped the division. DDP. If he can't beat Rob Whittaker, why would he fight him?
Because we didn't even need to make the Rob Whittaker fight happen in the first place. We could have just had him come in off the Brunson win. Why not?
True African champ. Who's the true African champ?
Yeah,
We'll have him fight Hamzat.
Exactly. Have Whittaker fight Hamzat. That's what should have happened. Hamzat should have fought Whittaker. DDP should have fought Costa. Winner fights Izzy.
I know. Where's Costa in all this? I feel like Chael Sonnen talking about Kevin Lee.
He's fighting later. He's fighting later in the month. He's fighting that Russian dude who just had that first round knockout. Iskrum, whatever.
Oh, that's Karov.
Yeah.
The wolf who called out Bo Nickal. The guy who beat Phil Halls. Right?
I thought Bus was the guy who beat Phil Halls. No?
Abbas?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
No,
I don't know.
Iskrum.
Either way, let's just move on. What are you guys thinking for this fight? Obviously,
I'm taking Robert Whittaker.
Robert Whittaker.
We're both taking Robert Whittaker. Yeah.
Okay. For all the reasons everybody else in the MMA community and gambling space is picking him, right? Because
I like Dricus du Plessis, but Dricus du Plessis gasses out. He tries to go for the finish in the first round, and some would say, like in the Darren Till fight, he was losing that fight up until he got the finish. In the Derek Brunson fight, he was losing the fight until he got the finish. He is not a complete mixed martial artist where Robert Whittaker is, and Robert Whittaker is too fast and too dangerous and too dynamic. He has some good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu as well, but that karate style, Luke, you're talking about a knockout that happened on Robert Whittaker back in 2014. So you're talking about him getting knocked out by Stephen Thompson in 2014 when he was cutting down to 170, and he's not at 185, his natural weight class. Robert Whittaker is going to absolutely destroy him. Dan, do you have anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, he really was Wonder Boy at that point in time. It wasn't Wonder Man at that point. That's all I got to say.
All right, well, listen, man, I just want you to know that like throughout Dricus du Plessis' career, he is a finisher. And in his career, he has 1, 2, 3 third-round finishes, and he has 7 second-round finishes. So 10 of his fights, he finished in the second or third round, and you're talking about gas tank shit. In his last 2 fights that you're probably speaking of, he finished Brunson at the end of round 2, and he finished Darren Till halfway through round 3. So what the fuck are we talking about gas tank shit? He has a certain way of breathing, and this has already been addressed, that makes him look like he's huffing and puffing, but it's really just this circuitous kind of breathing that he does.
I'm not talking about his breathing. I'm talking about his movement. His movement looks staggered. It looks tired.
He's jerky. So was Keith Jardine. So is Yoel Romero. So are a lot of people.
How many titles did Keith Jardine win?
I'm just saying that some people have an unorthodox style, but I'm not seeing any incompetencies. He hasn't lost in the UFC. His last loss was a finish in round 3, and the one before that was a finish in round 3. He finishes guys in round 3. He gets finished in round 3. Sometimes shit happens.
So, Luke, you proved what I was saying.
You think Rob Whittaker's going to finish him in round 3?
Well, Gareth McLennan did, and Roberto Solidich did. So
5 years ago. And Roberto Solidich is 20
and you're bringing up knockouts from
Roberto Solidich
9 years ago.
20-4 with 17 knockouts. Okay, he's very good and still fights to this day, and is probably going to be in a big promotion sometime soon. I mean, just be real. Like this guy, the guy that he fought, like isn't a slouch. Like the guy that beat Dricus du Plessis in his earlier life isn't a slouch. Like, and Dricus also lost to him too. Dricus beat him, and then he beat Dricus. They both finished each other by punches, and they were the main event in 2018 against one another. So yeah, Gareth McClellan, he has 20 fights. He's 41 years old now. But when he fought Dricus, it was Dricus's 5th fight, and it was this guy's 14th fight. And he got guillotined in the 3rd round in 2014, 10 years ago. So yeah, he went 1-1.
This guy's record in the UFC is 1-5. The only person he beat in the UFC was Bubba Bush. So you're talking about Gareth McClellan.
Listen, let's just argue.
Let's all settle down. We'll
I'm
eat some
saying-
Triscuits while we watch
Yeah, Court
Triscuits.
McGee also beat Rob Whittaker. Just to let you know, Court McGee, who Mike Brown put into the fucking nether realm last
170,
Oh.
170,
Who
185.
cares? So a smaller guy beat up on Robert Whittaker, a much smaller man than Triscuits, knocked him out and beat him.
Cutting weight. You know that better than anybody. You wrestled.
You're so lame. All right, I'm going with DDP. You guys are going with Rob Whittaker. Let's move on.
And Luke took that personally.
I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna fucking love watching all the nerds of the world's parlays burn to the fucking ground with only 3 fights left in the night, and one of them being Bo Nickal minus 10 million. I'm gonna love it when everybody's parlays burn to the ground with Robert Whittaker, and every single person doesn't hedge out because there's so many more fights in the night, and every single person loses all their parlays with Robert Whittaker on them, and then they have nothing more to fucking bet for the rest of the night because there's only 3 fights left and they can't possibly claw their way back. That's where I'm gonna live when this is all happening. Okay.
Well, I love when your Colby Covington head ass loses betting on Dricus du Plessis just because you want him to beat up the nerd Israel Adesanya later.
I don't want him to beat up anybody. I just think that
You want him to beat up the nerd Robert Whittaker and the nerd Israel Adesanya, and you know that.
I award good behavior. Everybody's looking gift horses in the mouth over here. All right, everyone's looking at DDP and they're going, "Oh, he stinks." It's like, guys, he hasn't lost in the UFC. Like, what?
I don't think he stinks. I'm not saying that. I think Robert Whittaker's just on another level.
I don't. I think he's on the same level as everybody else, the middleweight level, the not champion level. You know, he's just a bloke, guys. He's not George St. Pierre. He's not George St. Pierre. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. Everybody
Lukey Rockhold. He's just your average bloke. He's just your average bloke.
Everybody wants to make Kamaru Usman into George St. Pierre. Then they want to make Rob Whittaker into George St. Pierre. Then they want to make who's the newest George St. Pierre? Who's the newest GSP? Volkanovski. He's the newest GSP. All right, so moving on. Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal is going to eat Tresean Gore's heart in the first round. Bo Nickal, round 1, finish. Next fight. Are we all in agreement there? Sorry, Alex.
I don't know if he's going to finish him, but he's going to win.
Take a break. I'm going to take a pee. Let's just, you guys give the podcast some air. We got three fights left to break down, and 2 of them are championship fights. So this is what we play for. This is why we're here. I'm going to pee. I'm going to come back. We're going to break down these 3 fights. You guys can start with the Bo Nickal praise, whatever you want to do.
I mean, I'm taking Bo Nickal unless Tresean Gore had another parent die in the last week, like he did last fight, and then just went out and absolutely starched Josh Fremd. I mean, no, he had extra motivation. It was like a Buster Douglas situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, if he had another parent die in the last week, I'm switching my pick to Tresean Gore. But I'm going with Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal, Penn State Wrestling, 2-time national champion college wrestler. Almost made it to the Olympics. I think he got beat by I'll think of it later. But the guy who came in on crutches with a broken ankle this past week, I forget his freaking name. But yeah, obviously Bo Nickal. I hope he's not minus 1,000. Tresean Gore is like his highest level of competition yet, no?
In MMA, I would assume so.
Jamie Pickett, though. Jamie Pickett has more experience than Tresean Gore.
Certainly does. I mean, he's an all-timer there. So we got the wrestling goat from Penn State.
Not the goat, Cal Sanderson.
The wrestling goat from Penn State going down on July 8th when I bring a Penn Stater into my clan, my family. There's going to be a lot of Penn State pride going on that night, a lot of Penn State people. So I think it's going to be very fitting that we got Bo Nickal getting the win here. Not that that's a surprise to anybody, certainly not Vegas, putting him down for a minus 1250 or whatever he's at this point in time. So won't be able to really profit much from it, but the stars will be aligned, let's just say.
And Dan is such a big UFC fan. When they're reading their vows is right when the pay-per-view starts. So it's going to be 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m. They're going to be reading their vows. Then while the ceremony's going, we will stumble into a little Bo Nickal. Which is crazy that he's higher on the card than Robert Whittaker.
Hear me out on this, Dan. you are going to be getting a lot of cards on Saturday. You're going to be given a lot of cash, a lot of money.
I hope so.
minus 1,000. It does seem pretty steep until you think I'm going to have many thousands of dollars.
So I'm going to bet 1,000 to win 100.
No, we're going to bet 10,000 to win 1,000.
Do you think I'm getting $10,000?
From a wedding, you better be in. I mean, 10K. What would you have to do? You have to have.
We got less than 150 people going.
$100. 100 people, $100.
Everybody has to give $100 at least. Like,
And
have
you
you
probably
ever
have
been
100
to a
people in
wedding?
attendance, right? 100 people.
Yeah. You buy
Yeah,
a
we're
gift
having a little short of 150. But a lot of people, they get gifts. They get the gifts going.
Right.
Yeah, but you get 50 people who get gifts, 100 people who bring $100 cash. You got $10,000 there with all the.
And it's average.
Hey, $100 is actually pretty light for what you're supposed to be paying. Honestly, I don't know.
I would think you got to at least cover your plate. You got to at least cover.
That's the thing. Yeah,
that's the theme. You got to at least cover your plate.
Yeah, no, that's the deal. Cover the plate.
Yep.
But,
how much is
so
that?
wait? So you want me to?
So yeah, we're just setting him up to which is what is that usually nowadays
$103.
my mom's wedding. We looked back at her she kept track of what everybody gave. One of my relatives didn't even give enough to cover the plate. I was like, this is crazy.
Oh,
name names.
Maybe they got a gift or something. Maybe it all
name names.
I'm not naming names. Okay, let's go. All right. Bo Nickal, Trophy certified, first round finish. Brandon Moreno versus Andre Pantoja. This is an interesting one. Really worth a look. So Pantoja, the cannibal, you'll remember him and Brandon Moreno kind of got into a little kerfuffle after Moreno defended his title last. He and Pantoja were backstage, and Pantoja was like, yo, me and you next. And Moreno kind of just gave him a non-answer, and he was like, dude, me and you next. You know what I mean? Don't do this. So basically, because it's been the Figueiredo versus Moreno show for the last 2.5 years, right? So 2.5 years ago, he fought Figueiredo to a draw. Then they rematched, and then he had a rematch again, and then fought Kai Kara France, 6 months after that, and then fought Figueiredo again 4 months after that. So for the last 2.5 years, every time this title has been fought, it's involved, one of two, if not two of two, of Figueiredo and Moreno. So Moreno's going to be 4 years younger than Pantoja. He was working with Kraus before the big lockup. So Kraus was helping him a lot. He really loved working with Kraus, and now he's not able to anymore. Pantoja, this is his opportunity. Obviously, his last loss is to Askar Askarov 3 years ago. He's training at American Top Team. He did lose. The losses that he has: Dustin Ortiz, Davidson Figueiredo, Askar Askarov. He lost in the Ultimate Fighter as well. Pantoja, he lost to Jussier Formiga, and way back in 2008 he has lost. But basically, his wins: Wilson Hayes, Brandon Moreno beat him by unanimous decision back in 2018 when they fought first. He also beat Brandon Moreno by rear naked choke in the Ultimate Fighter House. He beat Kai Kara France. He was able to beat Alex Perez, Brandon Royval, and Manal Cap, and Matt Schnell. Guys, this is gonna be a fucking crazy fight. What do you think?
I'm gonna take a shot and go with Pantoja. I really think he's beaten him twice, and he's beaten him twice by finish.
You're frozen.
Me?
Everybody.
I'm good.
Frozen.
I hear you.
Actually, he hasn't beaten him twice by finish. He's only beaten him once by finish, and the other time was unanimous decision, and it wasn't close. I think Pantoja has slipped on the banana peel a couple times. He lost to Davidson Figueiredo, Dustin Ortiz in 2018, but since that loss to him, you got to go back down to 2010 to find a loss to Jussier Formiga, who was a namesake in this division for quite some time. I got to go with Pantoja here, the cannibal. He's not all that much older. It's 33 to 29. They're only 4 years apart. And hold on, when's Brandon Moreno's birthday? Yeah, Brandon Moreno's birthday is in December. So he is a 30-year-old this year. He's the same age as y'all boys. But Pantoja has beaten this guy twice. He's going to beat him again, and he's going to beat him for the title. He was overlooked just because he lost to Davidson Figueiredo, and then, like Luke said, it was the Figueiredo versus Moreno show. So now Pantoja is going to take this easily, I think. I think it's going to be a lot quicker and a lot more violent than people think.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you on this one, Alex. I like Alexander Pantoja, big for the weight class there. Very violent, knockout wins. His last win that he got the rear naked choke when the dude was standing, super impressive. I just like a dude who has finishing ability, especially at this weight class. I think Moreno is not overrated, but I think heavy lies the crown when you're defending that belt so many times. And I think he's just going to be running out of steam at this point in time, going up against this opponent who has all the confidence in the world, knowing that he's already beat him twice. He's on a bit of a streak of his own where he's finishing dudes. I like Pantoja a lot, and I like him to get the win here. And I don't know what the odds are, but I do know he's a dog, and I think that'll be a nice little value play if you're just doing, singular bets. So I like Pantoja a lot.
And Dan, it's funny because Luke is like, oh, I hate these nerds. I hate these Israel Adesanyas, these Robert Whittakers. But I love this Lego guy. If a guy came in and was like, if a guy came into the UFC and had a Horcrux tattoo on him, which I don't even know dick about Harry Potter, Luke would be like, oh, he's my favorite one. If a guy came in like Sean O'Malley with a little lightning bolt on his forehead, like he's Harry Potter, Luke would literally come in his pants. He is a Harry Potter nerd, and he only likes nerds that don't like Dragon Ball Z and
I love
Dark
Dragon Ball
Souls.
Z, and I don't even hate Israel Adesanya. I don't even know what you're talking about. I just don't like Izzy. Izzy is just too indulgent. He's like fettuccine alfredo or tiramisu. If he's just been in my diet for too long, and I'm full. I'm very full of Izzy. You know what I mean? He's so between the nails and the pearls and the fucking constant, beat to his own drumness of it all. It's just getting enough. It's enough is enough. You know what I mean? MMA has a certain culture, and the culture has never been. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I wanted to say that the culture hasn't been to paint your nails, but Chuck Liddell actually used to paint his fucking nails. So it does have a culture of painting your nails. I am wrong. Israel Adesanya is just conforming.
Yeah, it's just like Bohemian Grove. All right.
Same for the Patreon. Listen, I'm just saying.
Chris Lieben, another nail painter.
I don't have any hate for Israel Adesanya at all. I just think he's a bit indulgent, and sometimes I need a little bit of of freshness in any division. And Moreno is also becoming very indulgent. He's becoming very obnoxious, you could say. He's just always coming out like
he buys a whole room for Legos.
I don't trust anybody who comes out and asserts that they're the good guy, that they're the white hat, that they're the one you should be rooting for, and he's a hero in the story. I'm a hero in the story. Like, it's so cringe. So I do not actually love the nerdiness of Brandon Moreno. I think he's lovable, like everybody else says he is, for sure, right? But I'm so sick of the protect this man at all costs type of culture of the UFC. I'm sick of I'll give you guys some examples: Dustin Poirier, Brandon Moreno, Robert Whittaker, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Conor McGregor was in that vein for a short time. For a short time when he was on the come up. I don't
know, maybe. I don't know. But I'm saying those four embody what I'm talking about, which is this cutesy,
the baby faces. The baby faces.
Not even, but they're not, though. I don't know. It's Dustin Poirier has no problem being a dog and being very brash, and
but John Jones is the same way, where he'll get on a mic and start being a baby face for you when you know that he's smashing his heads against car windows.
Justin Gaethje, Cowboy Cerrone, all these guys that are just these fan favorite, they become baby faces in the sense that they just become this all shucks. I'm just, it's dude, I don't know. It's really hard for me to articulate.
All shucks, I'm donating half of my purse. All glory be to God. Thank you for this whole win. I'm not going to take any of my winnings and do anything fun with it. It
feels I don't know. I can't. I really.
Diego Sanchez posted something today.
Help me understand what it is about me that I am projecting. Really,
Diego Sanchez posted on Instagram today. Dana White talking about UFC fighters, stating political opinions, religious opinions. He's like, "Hey, great, you love Jesus, but nobody wants to hear about that when you get on the mic. The first thing, like, they want to hear about the fight. They want to hear about the fight." And Diego was alleging that Dana is a Satanist, but in reality, it's like we don't need a preacher getting on the mic as soon as you win a fight. We want to hear about how you bludgeoned a guy in cold blood. Do you think Jesus wants that?
How about the preacher's daughter?
It's more so about like, I don't like the box checking. I don't like, if what you have to say is, all glory be to God. I'm not going to censor you or tell you can't say that. But for me, a lot of it in the pre-fight interviews and stuff feels like box checking. Like they'll ask somebody, Macy Barber, I love her, right? And what she did after the fight was great. And, I'll give him a little bit of grace leading up to the fight because you got the weigh in. You got a lot on your mind. You're not there to be a circus performer like Chelsea.
You're a Marshawn Lynch. You're just there so you don't get fined.
Yeah, a lot of them have that mentality. Is it the right mentality? No. But I understand that not everybody is going to show up working.
But it was for Nate Diaz, so a lot of these people learn from
bad
examples.
Nate actually knows what he's doing a little bit more than people think. And here's the other thing. What I'm trying to say is, like, they asked Macy Barber questions, and it felt like the responses were kind of like she eventually got to an interesting point, but it just took a lot of heavy lifting. It's just always like, yeah, my opponent, and I'm glad that share the like. It's just all these buzzwords and just like, you know what I mean, to get to where they end up saying something interesting, but they cloak it and they have to like dress it up in this like respect thing instead
it's to get these fat MMA nerds from Bloody Elbow or Calf Kick MMA to write your story about how you're a respectful person, but you also have a bit of an edge to you.
I don't even know what it is. It feels like coaching or media training or something where they
both, all the above. John Jones still thinks he's going to be working for Nike someday. He still thinks that him saying glory be to God after a fight, after he does all this shit, is going to make Nike hire him back as a sponsor him. No, it's not happening. Be the bad boy we all want you to be.
Yeah, we're in a weird time. It's a weird gray part of the history of MMA, UFC, everything. We're in a transitionary time, But in a way, we're in turbulent times. But you're going to have turbulent times when you're pushing hard, and we're pushing hard. We're going every weekend. You know what I mean?
That's why we all rooted for Trevor Peake. We want another Tank Abbott. We want a Tank
He'll be the first one to give all glory to God when he gets on the mic. So,
but that's fine as long as he's coming off his bar stool every weekend and giving glory to God afterwards. That's fine. Not a guy who is getting in trouble all the time and then saying glory be to God after. We know that this is all like a facade, Basically,
let me just boil it down to this. I don't give a fuck what people do as long as they fight a lot. If you fight a lot and want to challenge yourself and are interested in being in that cage fighting, and that's what you live and die for, I fucking like you. That's it. That's why I like Macy Barber. But when people make it seem like it's a chore to be there and they don't want to be active and they don't want to do this, but they do want to have all of the endorsements and the sponsorships and the money and the attention, but getting in the cage becomes such a burden for them. That's what drives me up a fucking wall. Okay? So say what you want, but
Francis Ngannou, Aljamain Sterling,
and
George St. Pierre.
Guys who are gumming
George
up.
St. Pierre did that too. Don't forget that.
People want to talk shit about Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz fought every single fight on his contract. He fought every single fight. He never pulled out. He moved forward with his contract. And now, before anybody else that fucking recently retired, his ass is going to be back in there fighting Jake Paul, the biggest fight. So he's productive. He's making shit happen. He's moving forward. Like, that's...
Well, the biggest fight besides what, Luke?
What?
The biggest fight besides what? What's the next biggest fight?
McGregor.
Jones versus Ngannou or McGregor versus Diaz?
Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg.
You're right, yep. So what's your thought on that before we get into the main event? Because I'm going with Pantoja too. Spoiler alert, we're Triple P certifying Alexander Pantoja. PPP certified the cannibal. He wants it more, needs it more, and stands more to gain, more to lose, whereas Moreno has less to gain, less to lose. Simple as that. Very simple equation here. Pantoja also beat him twice. So what is insanity? Repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. So let's not be insane. Let's go with Pantoja. Triple P certify his ass. Let's hope for an underdog. Let's hope all the Lego boys bet on Moreno. Alex,
The Brick Squad.
the Brick Squad. I
Shout out
love,
to Waka.
I love how easy it is to manipulate. I don't love it. I hate it, actually. But it never ceases to amaze me how easy it is to manipulate the American public, whether it be a
Wait
submarine.
for that. Wait for that for the Patreon, please.
Well, no, I'm saying, or whether it be Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk. I just wonder, what are they trying to distract us from? Because this is a hilarious. I mean, when every single fighter, like Operation Mockingbird, comes out and takes John Jones, you know him on Team Zuck, GSP, Mr. Elon Musk, it would be great to train you. Every fighter, when all of them seem to get their script and just go, okay, this is what we're doing, and it all mobilizes so quick, and Dana's got a shirt on that says Zuckerberg versus Musk, and it's all just moving. The media machine, the TMZ, it's all moving in coordination, lockstep in line. I just wonder, what are we being distracted from? Because these two old-ass motherfuckers are not getting their asses in the ring. And if they do, Joe Rogan is no friend to Elon Musk if they do, because guess what? I love Elon Musk way more than I love Mark Zuckerberg. I got really no love for the practices of the Meta Facebook corporation. But that being, I mean, I don't got no love. I got a little bit of love. I love watching the dancing girls on Instagram like anybody else. But I'm saying I don't have love for their privacy standards and for the way that they kind of have addicted the entire, American public with addictive algorithms that they themselves knew were dangerous, and to the point where they don't even let their own kids have a lot of time on them. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, I don't got a lot of love for Facebook and big tech, right? And I would argue that Elon is kind of a white hat in that realm, and that he's trying to clean it all up. He goes into Twitter, he buys it for more than it's worth. He's talking about the bots. He's trying to fix the bots, and he gets a lot of heat for that from people. But it's like, at the end of the day, Elon seems to stand for the things that we stand for, which are freedom, right? Stand for. We won't get into the specifics until we get to the page. Yeah. We won't get into the. But what I'm saying is, Elon
break it down like a real fight.
Elon Musk is a cool guy, whereas Mark Zuckerberg is like, put on the goggles and you can work in your office in your bathroom. And it's like, all right, we get it, Mark. Like, not that cool, not that chill. And now all of a sudden, Mark's doing this like campaign to like be perceived, like he's on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's doing jiu-jitsu competitions. He's trying to like become like a,
pundit.
Like a personality in the space.
Let us not forget that Zark Zuckerberg got to start by making an app that rates women at your school. Let us.
Rates.
What'd you say?
Rates. RATES.
Yes, that is how he got to start. That's how he got Facebook. I think if these two fellas want to fight, then they need to pay for pink slips. They need to play for pink slips. It's like a Vin Diesel versus a Paul Walker type situation. They got to play for
that. Here's the problem: is our guy's going to lose because he's 50-1 and fat, and Mark Zuckerberg is 39 and
no, he's got the Neuralink. Luke, he's got the Neuralink. He already knows everything he's going to do. He is Morpheus in the Matrix. He's got the Neuralink in his brain already. But that's the thing.
The problem
he's test subject day.
But the Neuralink is still connected to his brain. And if he gets punched in his brain, then the Neuralink will break.
No, ChatGPT comes right in and then fills in the script.
What's it going to tell him?
It's going to tell him.
It can't move.
Mark is going to throw an overhand right and try to pull you to guard like he did in that dumbass video that he made with Alexander Volkanovski, where he's pulling guard and fighting with Volkanovski in the metaverse. Like, get the hell out of here.
I mean, dude, I'm just saying Elon Musk.
But they got to pay for pink slips.
I've never seen him.
This is the only way. This is the only way I will let this fight happen. If I was a promoter, I would be like, you guys got to play for pink slips. Either Mark Zuckerberg, Zark Zuckerberg owns Twitter, or Elon owns Instagram, Facebook, and everything under that umbrella. That's the only way. That is the only way it happens. And hey,
you're mentioning pink slips, but you're not going to talk about Tesla, which is an actual car company.
Yes, we can. I was about to say that. SpaceX. I wouldn't throw Tesla in, but I'd throw SpaceX in.
Throw SpaceX in for sure. Yeah. Throw fake X in. Anyway. Listen.
That's everything I had when I was 13 years old. Fake ex-girlfriends from summer camp.
Like, Elon's the one who said, I'd be down for a cage match. I mean, by my timeline, he's the one who sort of shot the first shot in this regard. But to me, it's like I've seen.
Did you watch TMZ?
dude, I've quite literally never seen Elon do anything athletic ever. I've never seen him even appear athletic in any way, walking up a set of stairs, walking across the factory. I've never seen him look athletic at all. I'm just basing it off evidence. I want secretly him to have the Neuralink and a robot arm and like be like in his head, like I'm gonna fucking piston punch Mark in his jaw and separate his teeth. I want him to have an ace up his sleeve. I just don't think there's an ace up his sleeve.
He has an ace. He has an ace up his.
He doesn't have an ace,
up his
dude.
skin,
He's
Luke.
chubby.
Luke,
Gotta
it's
move on.
up his skin. It's up his skin for one, and two. You haven't seen Elon do anything ever. So why would you think anything he does is athletic? You've seen Mark Zuckerberg.
I've seen Mark.
And it's so unathletic.
It's not that impressive for the circles that I run in, but for the nerd. But it is impressive for him. Like it's very impressive. Like it's when I see it, I go, okay, like he's at least doing it right. You know, he's making it down the mountain.
It would be impressive for
He would choke Elon if Elon does not know jiu-jitsu and Mark is even a 2-stripe white belt. He'll choke Elon out in fucking 45 seconds. Like,
what wrestling does he know? I saw Mikey Musumeci let him take him down 3 times, and he showed him a couple leg locks, and he was like, "Yes, Mark, you did good on this one." And you know, Alexander Volkanovski let Mark Zuckerberg beat him up in the meta, but not in real life.
The problem is it's so stupid that Mark Zuckerberg and all these rich guys pay for the best instructors when they are just getting going with it. It's like, dude, why? It's so, if you really peel it back, there's a lot of arrogance there, right? Because it's like, you want to pull them aside and go, you don't need Mikey Musumeci. You don't need fucking any of these guys to train you.
He's going to show you something.
You could learn from a blue belt. You know what I mean? Like you're like at the start.
Musumeci is going to throw you something that is so advanced,
yeah, exactly,
that it will never work against somebody your level.
It's like buying a $1,500 gaming computer and using it for Microsoft Word. It's like what you need right now is just Microsoft Word, and you're out here trying to fucking get him to show you fucking Python. And it's like, just learn Microsoft Word for now. Like, just go pay $20 for Microsoft Word and then move up. And like, I say that for your own enjoyment, Mark Zuckerberg. I say that because it's like, it's a journey, and the fun of the journey is along the way. And it's the characters. Like, it's not just like, well,
the problem is his exposure. He would never want to be with a random person who's like, oh, you just made my Facebook account.
Like a perfect example. When I moved to New York City, my instructor told me, you're moving to New York City, go to Marcelo Garcia Academy. That was cool because it's like, it was like, he was like Yoda or like Obi-Wan. He was Obi-Wan. He said, go to the Dagobah system. He said, Luke, go to the Dagobah system. And I went to the, you know what I mean? So that's cool. And like, you need moments like that in your lineage. Like, you know what I mean?
And in the prequels, his name is Luke Skywalker. Who made the movie?
George Lucas.
Exactly.
Hold on.
If you can communicate this product, you can make money off the product.
That was a pretty good impression. Honestly. Yeah. But next up, we have the main event of the evening, right? We already went through one title card. And yeah, we triple P certified Alex Pantoja. But right now, we're talking about Alexander the Great, Volkanovski, versus Jair Rodriguez. Peace, love, and gap. Luke, please tell me what you think. Because Alexander Volkanovski is now a lovable character that everybody does like and that you may not like.
Nah, son, I love Volk. He's the short king. I bend the knee to Volk.
How'd I know?
And here's the thing. He's my short king. He's our short, not yours, but he's our, in like the short community. He's our short king. Now, here's the thing about Volk, right?
How tall are you, Luke?
I thought about
Luke, how tall are you?
5'6.5", 5'7" on a good day with boots. Anyway, depends on if I got my George Costanza.
Volk is 5'6" too, so he is your short king. Yes. I was hoping he was going to be taller than you.
Nope, he's right there with me, and he's bald too. So I'm actually probably would appear by optical illusion to be taller than him unless he's wearing a cowboy hat. So listen, I'm going. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I thought I was going to sit down in the seat today and fade him because my first thought was like, Super Bowl hangover. Yair's better than people think. It's 4-ounce gloves. If he lands, he lands. I saw Yair hitting him with some tricky shit, like a kick, right? Scalping his bald head. And he goes, and he's still there. He doesn't go down, but he's like backing up against the cage, and the crowd's like, oh, and then everyone's like, oh, he rocked him, and then Yair swarms him, and then Volk's in on a takedown, and Yair's hitting him like this, and then the ref stops it, and then Volk's like, I was fine, and they do an immediate rematch, and I saw all this playing out in my mind's eye, but then I remembered something. What happened when BJ Penn went up to 170 and lost to GSP? He came back down to 155 and he beat the fuck out of everybody bad. That's what's going to happen. Volk is going to go back down.
Kenny Florian.
Beat everyone's. This is his Kenny Florian. This is his Diego Sanchez. He is going to whoop everyone's ass and look better than he's ever looked. And people are going to be like, y'all, like, wow.
Must have forgot. Y'all must have forgot.
Islam, where are you at? Because you're still on the fucking couch. And he just ran another lap. You know what I mean? So he just did round 6 on your ass. What have you been up to? Nothing. As usual. Nothing. Sitting around in your hometown. You townie.
Looking like Uncle Fester.
I mean, Volkanovski looks more like Uncle Fester than Makhachev.
No, the bald head. If Islam shaved his head, he would be complete Uncle Fester sitting in the corner, shoulders up, like.
Yeah, more like Nosferatu.
No, that's exactly what I meant.
But I don't know. I mean, Yair is dangerous. I love Yair, but I think that he couldn't get he failed some big tests in his career that Volkanovski would have just breezed right through and did breeze right through, right? I mean, if you compare his Jeremy Stevens, fight with like Volkanovski taking on fucking Chad Mendez, you know what I mean? Or like he Volkanovski passed all his tests with flying colors. Yair has not done that necessarily. And I was going to fade him in the Emmett fight. I did try to fade him in the Emmett fight, but I think Yair can beat. Let's take a look at one thing though.
Luke, let me ask you one question. What would Alexander Volkanovski do to Charles Rosa?
Excuse me. He would ground and pound him into oblivion in one round.
Yeah. Well, Yair Rodriguez had a split decision against him. What would Alexander Volkanovski do to Dan Hooker? At 145.
Well, they're buddies.
But at 145. Just like
I don't think Dan Hooker can make 145, but
okay. But he did, and he did fight. True. I think this is at 145.
Yeah, exactly. No, I already said that.
Okay.
I said
Andre Feely.
Those tests with flying colors, whereas
that was a unanimous decision against Dan Hooker. But what about Andre Feely? Do you think that Andre Feely lasts 45 seconds with Alexander Volkanovski?
Yeah, no.
Do you think that BJ Penn lasts a whole round with Alexander Volkanovski?
We could do an easy one. We could do the Korean Zombie who Volk beat the shit out of, and what's the name? Rodriguez
was losing the whole fight.
Elbow.
But that's the thing, though. That's what I'm trying to say is that it really doesn't fucking matter that Volk is the favorite in this fight because what Yair brings to the table and what he's going to do for 25 minutes is going to be going for shit like that. So it's like that's what I'm trying to say. He only needs Yair. This is a dangerous fight for Volk because Yair only needs a 15-second sequence for the.
But Alexander Volkanovski is going to finish him in the first round.
You think?
Like I swear it's first, second round. If Frankie Edgar finished this guy in the second round, not much, but 6 years ago.
That's a long time ago. What do you mean? Not much, but 6 years ago.
Okay, well,
it's an infinite amount of time for a young fighter.
Okay, how many wrestlers has he fought since then? Chang Sung Jung, Jeremy Stevens twice, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, and Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett doesn't go for takedowns. We think he does. He doesn't. Max Holloway probably hasn't gone for a takedown in his career. That's 2 of them. Brian Ortega, any jiu-jitsu player, does not know how to do a takedown. Chang Sung Jung never went for a takedown either. So Chang Sung Jung beat his ass for 24 minutes and 59 seconds. And yeah, he got knocked out in 4 minutes, 59 seconds into the 5th round. But if that went to the judges' scorecard, it doesn't matter. Alexander Volkanovski is going to put him on his back just like Frankie Edgar did, and he's going to ground and pound him. It's going to be within the first 3 rounds, guys. This is not going to go to decision. And it's not going to be a Yair Rodriguez win. It's going to be a ground and pound finish by Volk. I swear. I know it for sure. If Frankie Edgar can do it, Alexander Volkanovski can.
All right. Well, I agree with the result in that, money line win. I'm not going to predict a finish per se because we got some Mexican toughness going on here with Yair, and I think he's going to be really hard to take down. It's not traditional like wrestling takedown defense. It's like a guy that's fucking super dynamic, super athletic, super long versus a little short guy. So it's going to be hard to get him down. It's going to be hard to get in range to even shoot for a takedown, let alone land it. So listen, I think Volk's going to win. He's the complete package. He's probably the best fighter in the UFC, any weight class at this point in time. But I'm not going to predict the finish, just going with the straight money line.
Luke will be the first to tell you, long, lanky guys struggle with short, stocky guys in wrestling because they have a lower center of gravity and they can get a lot more offense off in terms of wrestling. Yair Rodriguez has no wrestling whatsoever.
Yeah,
Dan, what did you say before that?
Not wrestling.
Huh? Oh, he plays rugby, dude. He actually knows how to tackle people. He's not like a football player putting helmet to helmet every single time. He knows how to wrap his head around somebody, grab them, and pull them up and put them down. Rugby is probably the most similar sport to wrestling out of all of them.
Volk's got that taekwondo balance. Yair's got that taekwondo balance. He gets in on a single leg. He's going to be hopping around all night if he wants to.
He's not
hard to take. I'm telling you, he's going to be hard to take down.
It's not going to be that. It's the scrambles that Yair will create. He will definitely defend the takedown, but then he will be diving for leg locks, diving for arm bars, diving for doing that thing that a lot of the Mexican guys are doing nowadays, which is really hard hits from the back, like bop, 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 like hitting, like punching hard offense.
Like Nico Price.
Yeah, he's going to do crazy shit. But overall, I'm going with Volk. We're totally certifying Volk. Guys, we've been talking a lot. Thank you.
No, he just took Yair, didn't he?
No. I'm taking Volk. I said it a million times.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to take you guys through my picks top to bottom, and then these guys will, and then we'll give you the trophy certified picks. Then we're going to hop over to the Patreon and do a final look at Strickland versus Magomedov. If you want to see our first picks of that, the full episode's here for you on YouTube. If you want to see a second look at it just for fun, basically, and to talk a little shit, we're going to hop into the Patreon, do an episode there. So subscribe to the Patreon, full year for $100. Like I said, last weekend, over $4,000 of winnings that I posted in the Patreon on my open bet sheet. So get in, access that open bet sheet, do your thing, have fun, enjoy.
40 years. 40 years of Patreon membership.
Yeah, that's like
3 of the
I don't even know if we'll be
odds
speaking the podcast 40 years from now. I mean,
Luke, odds speaking, one of us will die within the next 40 years.
I'm having a midlife crisis now, so I definitely know it'll be me, because if I'm midway through, then that's not looking good. All right, let's take it through. Alexander Volkanovski.
I'm younger than you, and I'm also having a midlife crisis.
No, you're having nicotine withdrawal. There's a difference. You'll be fine in 3 weeks. All right. Alexander Volkanovski, Alexandre Pantoja, Bo Nickal, Freudian slip? No. Dricus du Plessis, Jalen Turner, Nico Price, Jack Della Maddalena, Jesus Aguilar, Yasmin Jauregui, Esteban Ribovics, Victor Petrino, Alonzo Menifield, Cameron Saaiman. Real quick, my most confident picks: Petrino, Maddalena, Turner, Volkanovski, Nickal, obviously. So those are 5 confident ones for you. All right, Alex, Dan, take it away, and then we'll do Triple B certified, and then we'll get the fuck over to the Patreon.
All right, I'm going Alexander Volkanovski, Alexander Pantoja, Bo Nickal, Robert Whittaker, Jalen Turner, Nico Price, Sean Brady, Jesus Aguilar, Yasmin Jauregui, Kirk, Kamala Harris, Vitor Petrino, Alonzo Menifield, and Cameron Saaiman.
All right, we got Volkanovski, Pantoja, Bo Nickal, Robert Whittaker, Jalen Turner, Nico Price, Jack Della, Jesus Aguilar, Yasmin Jauregui, Camuela, Kirk, Vitor Petrino, Jimmy Crute, and Terrence Mitchell. Guys, as a wedding present to me, sign up for the Patreon if you haven't done so already. At the very least, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, you know the drill. Let's get it done. Have a great UFC 290.
Before
Or
we go
give a
get-
YouTube donation. Give a YouTube donation through the live.
We have 8 trophy certified picks for you guys this week. Alex Volkanovski is trophy certified. Alexandre Pantoja is trophy certified. Bo Nickal, trophy certified. Jalen Turner, Nico Price, Jesus Aguilar, Yasmin Jauregui, and Vitor Petrino. All 8 triple P certified picks. The only one I would drop off there is Nico Price, just because like undeserving. But I mean, we'll see if we change anything next weekend when we come back and go through this card with a fine tooth comb on the Patreon. Later, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Take care. We'll see you later. Get over to that Patreon. Get on over to the Patreon now.